Hi guys! I'm so excited to see everybody. I'm a little nervous because StreamYard's saying that my Wi-Fi connection isn't, I mean, it's Ethernet, but it's saying that my speed's a little unstable. So can you guys let me know? My speed test said I've got 500 up and 500 down, 24 up. So we should be good, but we'll see. We have a ton of stuff to talk about that happened really since Thursday, Friday, outside of court. So we're going to look at that stuff. We're going to get some reactions going. It is so good to see everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Super hello. And as far as day 142, so Friday's court stream, thinking we could either do that tomorrow afternoon or maybe on Monday. I think the court is closed on Monday, right? So either way, we'll do a recap. I heard some good stuff happened. And Nick, if you are awake for a while and want to come up for a little bit, I don't plan for this to be as long as a full trial stream day, but I'll drop a link if you want to come up. We're just going to be going through the Cobb County Sheriff thing, Ashleigh Merchant's letter, Tounk's plea revocation, and we're going to take a quick look at some language in Gunna's plea deal, because I think it's really interesting, and just see what you guys think. So I'm dropping a link down here. It is for Nick. So don't be that person. I'll ignore you if you jump up in the back room and you are not Nick. But hey, hey, hey to everybody. It's so good. It's so good to see everybody. Hi, DWC. Well, you could come up too if you want, DWC. Look at that. It's going to be great. We're going to get into it. The very first thing I want to show you guys, and it's goofy, it's stupid. Speaking of generator, I wish I could have one. Our HOA, our homeowners association, yelled at somebody else that started running one, so not that I think that they cared, but we have such a limited balcony space to run it because I'm on the second story that I don't really know if it'd be a good idea. But maybe. I don't mind pissing off an HOA. That's right, slime. But hey to everybody. So, what we were going to do, again, this first one is just stupid and goofy. But when the, oh, wrong one. When the power went out, a local business still had power. And they said, we are open to serve our community. Hot food and cold drinks. But look how they spelled cold. When I tell you, I thought of all of you guys and how we're not supposed to say the C word. We've got to replace it. And typically with the YSL trial, you either see it replaced with a B or an X. And they did it here. And what do you have? You have more than 3 people hanging out here. Replacing the language. They're not saying C. So are these all co-conspirators? These are all the power outage hurricane co-conspirators seeking relief. So I thought of you guys when I saw this stupid little thing. And then the next thing, we'll get into something a little bit more related. You guys may have seen I've been sharing a ton of stuff on X because I couldn't really get on YouTube. I didn't want to drain my battery by watching videos, but I was trying to share what I could on X. And something interesting that happened in neighboring county Cobb. Guys, this Cobb County Sheriff, he goes to Burger King. He orders his food at Burger King. They don't get his order right. They get his order wrong. So he calls the police. He calls his deputies to come over there as backup. This is the sheriff, an elected official of Cobb County. Some of the defendants, including Jeffrey Williams, are over in Cobb, if I'm not mistaken. This is who's in charge. He can't handle a fast food place getting his order wrong. And I know we might joke about that, but come on. And it's Burger King. My first reaction, especially for you guys that don't live in the United States, or, I don't know, they have Burger Kings in other countries, right? Their slogan is BK, have it your way, you rule. And he literally made that slogan real life. He said, I own this. It should be my rules. He called his deputies over to back him up. Now, they do have a video we can watch a little bit of. It's got some commentary from the news station. We're kind of just going to start in the middle of it. Let's see what they say. And it's a weird player.
Deputy patrol cars are parked with emergency lights flashing and employees are locked inside the building. Flashing and see the sheriff's truck is parked in this section of the parking lot outside the restaurant. Deputy patrol cars are parked with emergency lights flashing and employees are locked inside the building.
I'll link to this channel so you can check it out as well.
Burger King right next door to the old Kmart. 362-101, we've got 3 units en route.
Move! And you see the sheriff's grade up 150? I just left absolutely. Ask Mike, I want to order her a Whopper with no mayo cut in half, right? So we get the mayo half.
And I didn't even catch his order until someone on X had said it. So shout out to that person. Listen to his order specificity. Who does this? For a grown person, maybe for a kid?
Order her a Whopper with no mayo cut in half, right? So we get the mayo half.
He ordered it cut in half? Like, I didn't know that they did that. Like, maybe that's a thing they do for kids. I don't have kids, so I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Oh. So the staff locks the doors because of whatever happened leading up to this moment. The staff locked the doors. I don't know if they were like afraid of him coming in and throwing a fit or what, but all we know is the staff locks the doors. This is the Cobb County Sheriff.
Hey, man. Sheriff.
Good to know, Shakisha.
I need to get, all I need is the owner name or whoever owns this damn facility or the manager. Okay. We ordered something, the food was wrong. We said, hey, can we fix it right? The guy said, well, we ordered. I said, that's not what we ordered. What are we doing? I said, well, can I get my no? I said, well, can you give me a manager name or owner name so I can call him? That's all I need. Okay, sir. I don't need no damn money back no more. I just need to find out who owns this place so I can do an official complaint to complain about this. Okay, sir. Okay. That's all right. All I'm going to do is the sheriff wants the name of the manager or the owner so he can file a complaint. That's all.
So long story short, they go up to the door. The employee opens it for the deputies. They give a first name of the assistant manager. The assistant manager doesn't want to give a full name, just gives the first. And then they give some contact information. And that's really the gist of it. But you heard the sirens at the beginning of this video. The way that the sheriff called this in, it corresponded to some code, like there was some activity it was completely necessary to get there in a rush. 3 different deputies show up. So just think of like the resources that are being consumed because this Cobb County Sheriff didn't get his order the way he wanted his order. And I know there's plenty of fast food jokes to be made. It is what it is. But I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, I wish there was a live stream chat to react to this with. Like, it's just a little too much. It's just a little too much. Like, it's one thing to want to complain. You know, you get your receipt and you, like, complain to the number and they give you, like, a coupon for your next meal. Right? But why did you call in these deputies to come speeding down here flashing their lights? Oh, man. It's just been a time. Big shout out to Dear Woke Christian gifting 10 memberships. And you know what's great about DWC is his brand is green. So he's slime all the time. So big shout out. That is super awesome. There are 10 of you that got a gift. If you got one, make sure you're saying thank you. And I think he said he wants to come on up. So maybe I need to drop this link again. And this is either for DWC or Nick. Or both. So there you go. But like, it's just like, I've never in my life, okay, that's not true. I had to call for help. My friend was driving through the Burger King parking lot, or a drive-through. I was in the passenger side, and their car broke down while we were in the drive-through. So technically, I have had to call for emergency assistance, but calling for a tow is a little bit different. And we were literally right at the ordering menu when the car broke down. So I have called for emergency assistance, but not like this. DWC, you get to come up? Alrighty.
Hey,
you guys
friend.
give a big warm welcome. They're still thanking you in the chat for dropping the
Hey,
gifts.
no problem. Thank y'all.
So glad to have you here. Just extra
Appreciate
green
you.
to go around.
All right. I'm embarrassed because I live around the corner from that Burger King.
Do you eat Burger King? Would you
I've
like
never.
to do a live stream driving through there?
I might try. I might do. I haven't had Burger King in years. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you when.
You gotta order the same thing.
Okay, so what he had something cut in half. I wasn't.
It was like a Whopper with mayonnaise cut in half.
Okay, maybe I'll go do that. I'm gonna say I'm gonna ask for the sheriff special or something.
And by the way, guys, there's the video link in the chat if you guys want to watch the rest of it. Where did they give us the order? It was
right
in the beginning more, right? It was when they first walk up. Yeah, cut in half. It's like right here.
I want to order her a Whopper, no mayo cut in half, right?
No mayo cut in half. All right, I'm gonna go.
That's what you gotta do.
I mean, it's literally around the corner from my house. I'm embarrassed.
Not the documentary.
I'm gonna go in there and be like,
goodness.
And with my lights blaring and the whole nine. I did want to check on you very quickly and of course make sure you're doing okay. You were mentioning about the power issues and running a generator. Don't run a generator and get the HOA mad. Don't do it.
Yeah, and it's not really a good ventilation spot either. We have like an enclosed balcony, so it's screened, but I don't really know if it's not breezy, there's probably not much airflow, and I don't know how much ventilation you're supposed to have with something like that anyway. I'm not sure it would be enough. But yeah, so I don't think it'd be a good idea either way.
However, I agree 100%. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
I heard my neighbor on the porch talking to another neighbor, like they're talking through their balconies.
Okay.
And they're like, "Did you see that group chat that the HOA sent?" And he's like, "Yeah, F them."
Oh no.
So if I ever needed next time, they didn't get it until I think they have a baby. So I think the girlfriend or the wife is breastfeeding. So she just produced a bunch of milk and didn't want the stuff in the fridge to go bad. So his coworkers brought over the generator. I saw them dropping it off so they could power their fridge and not waste the milk. So it's kind of like, yeah, F the HOA. That's my opinion there, 1000%.
Absolutely.
That baby wants to eat. Why waste it?
Right.
Why let it go to waste?
Because a baby can't get a Whopper without mayonnaise cut in half. So until further notice, at least make sure they go get the Burger King. That's so embarrassing.
And you guys, if you don't already know, dear woke Christian, also Jason on a first name basis there, this is a good time to hit the link and subscribe.
Well,
Again, you heard that he is local.
Yeah.
He has been in the courtroom. We watched him walk up to apply for his Rule 22.
I did.
So he's been in the courtroom more than once, and covers more stuff than just the YSL trial. But, you know, if there was a pie chart, a lot of it would be YSL.
Yeah, I hate to say it. YSL gets most of our time. But I mean, but it's what everybody's talking about. Most people's attention is there. You might want to say, hey, what about this case over there? We're back at YSL. Hey, what about this case over here? This is really, we're back at YSL.
And it's too much. It's like so much coverage.
But I also think it's also because it's such a gross injustice and it's almost like on display, almost like they don't care. So it's kind of like a train wreck in that regard. And people just can't turn away. Like, I know there's something else interesting over here, but I just can't turn away because I don't know what they're going to do today. Like every day it's something. Who saw yesterday? Who anticipated Friday with magic emails going back and forth? Who had that on their bingo board? Nobody. Who had Ashleigh Merchant dresses down Adrian Love in an email and tells her, if you come at me, you don't want this smoke. Who saw that coming? So no, it's hard to take away what people really want, which is they want to talk about YSL. But
yeah,
I mean,
you're crushing it. So 2 other cases, like Sarah Boone, we had time off from court, and I wasn't gonna like stream it. I was gonna watch it in full as an audience member somewhere and hang out, and then they delay it, and I'm like, so I finally have a break, and I can't tune over to another channel. So that was the whole time.
Even when I want to, they just keep drawing you right back in, pull me back into it. All right.
No, and even with my power off, just looking at the Twitter, because I wasn't watching videos, but it was just so much activity happening on X. Like great coverage as always by Thugger Daily, but just so much conversation around it too. Not just Thugger Daily tweets, but everybody was talking about it this whole week.
Yeah.
And I also do want to give a big shout out here. I know you guys are checking in. You guys are so sweet. Left Coast Mana here said, free chat for being a multi-member. It means one thing. So you've been here for 2 months. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I saw that along with that, we got another 10 gifted memberships. Thanks to Left Coast Mana. So
Left Coast
up here
Mama.
matching with our slime DWC.
I love it. I love it.
So big thank you there. And those emails, I know one of my favorite tweets, and I bookmarked it to show you guys on here, was from Andrew Fleischman. Now, we're going to read the email, so if you're missing the context, hold your horses. But this is my favorite tweet that I saw this week. Andrew says, I was in a Lyft, and the driver said that Georgia's RICO law needs a more robust mens rea element. And this is just so good on so many levels. He even changed Uber to Lyft to give it a little extra flair. But guys, well, maybe not but Brian Steele has argued this about the indictment, RICO. What's the mens rea element? What's your intentionality for actually doing something in furtherance of a gang?
Mm-hmm.
How do you qualify mens rea for that sort of thing? Because according to the state, anything ever that we can say could look like gang activity, it's intentionally being done in furtherance of YSL, the gang. So just a great all-around tweet here, I think.
Well, shout out to that Lyft driver, man. That Lyft driver was really dialed in to what's going on.
Oh man.
The fact
we were gonna get that email too. I can't get over the email. People were asking if it was real. And I understand why.
Okay, and I asked this question last night on my show. Let's play two games. Let's say that is fake. It's so fake that nobody believes it, that it could be real. Everybody's yelling that it's fake. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Now, let's pretend that it's real. Let's pretend everything happened exactly like Judge Whitaker outlined and like Fani Willis would want us to believe.
No, Doug confirmed that the Uber story was the Sir story. That is the email.
No, but I'm saying like pretending like let's pretend like that really did happen. Some friend did get in an Uber, an Uber driver was
Uber
talking about
real.
Right. And then she did call Fani and say, Fani, I was talking to the Uber driver in Uber. Let's pretend like that's real. That story sounds so fake that nobody believes it. Like that's how bad this writing is. And I've said this before. They're horrible storytellers. Even when they're lying, even when they're using classical storytelling, like your mom used to say, like they're still not believable. And that's got to say a lot, that even when you're lying, people are just like, shut up,
well,
man, get out of here.
You reply all. So, because when I reply to emails, I have to choose between replying to and replying all. And maybe email systems work differently. But for me to choose reply all would be an intentional thing.
Mm-hmm.
And reply all, it's intuitive, right? The words are what it is. You don't just hit, if you have the options reply and reply all, and you've never chosen before, common sense, you can figure out the difference. If I choose reply all intentionally, I'm probably replying to all the parties. And then you could see it in the send line. So this is an intentional choice to send it to everybody.
And there we go.
Maybe she didn't know the judge was in the mix, right? It became, maybe that was accidental. Maybe it was sent to a long list of people and she didn't really check.
So, and here's just something else. Because remember, she refers to herself as the elected DA, which is super weird. I asked my daughter, I said, your father of 17 years is proud of you. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like to say the elected DA, if Fani Willis is writing this and to call herself in a third person, the elected DA. But let's just say this. That's so reckless. That's so, you want to instill a sense of the DA is in control and has a good grip on what's going on in Fulton County, and you accidentally email the judge in one of your most highest profile, dare I say, you're losing the game trials. You accidentally email them something that could be considered ex parte and chum the water. Really? Okay. That's what we're supposed to believe. Accidentally. Okay. No problem. I got you.
Well,
I just can't believe that.
What was one of the 4 grievances that was found against Christina Peterson, former Judge Christina Peterson? It was an email communication that was ex parte because it was sent to the clerk of the court. It wasn't even sent directly to the judge, but to her clerk, which is one and of the same. And it wasn't communicated with the opposing party. And that was one of the 4 findings that the Georgia Supreme Court said, yep, this is one of the 4 reasons that we're removing her from the bench. That ex parte communication. So Judge Whitaker is not wrong at all to say that this is extremely serious. Like, now I'm going to make it part of the record in this trial. Like, maybe not the biggest deal, but I would think that you would be very careful all the time whenever you're sending correspondence because of how serious that could be.
And given the fact that if you go back and read Nathan Wade's resignation letter and follow it by Fonnie Willis's response to Nathan Wade's resignation letter, you'll see very quickly that there's a tone to this writing. I dare say that both of them were written by the same person, but that's me. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Hold on one second. I put my conspiracy hat on. There we go.
Yeah.
Got my conspiracy hat
on. It was a little similar.
They're very similar.
Had a similar thought.
So if you go here and listen to this one, just listen to it. Just read it. You don't have to go and listen to me read it all theatrically, but just listen to it and just ask yourself, is this how you interact with your friend? I see Sheila Green right here. Is that how I interact with Sheila Green? I just want to encourage her, send her a nice message of encouragement. So I say, you know, Sheila Green, your friend that you've known for 4 years when we went to college. And does that make sense? Is that believable? And it's not. It's not. Does it sound campaign-ish? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Sure.
Yeah, and that's why I think it was a reply all on purpose, which for that reason, I disagree that it's going to be effective for the reason that one might have thought it would be effective.
Correct.
Like, that does not seem like a powerful campaign to me, and we're going to read it, but the promise of there's no way you're going to lose your job. That is not at all something I would say at all. It pissed me off.
Well, there's no way to lose your job. So let me just Fonnie Willis, because that was Fonnie Willis allegedly saying, because remember, she wrote it in like billboard font. She wrote her name. Fonnie Willis is humongous. So Fonnie Willis wants Adrian Love to know that she's doing a great job. Now, somebody who's super petty, I'm not saying that I know who he is. I'm just saying somebody whose name is probably Dear World Christian is probably going to do a montage of all of the most recent foibles and fumbles that Adrian Love has done and just have that playing in the background. You're doing a fantastic job. You'll never lose your job. You're doing a wonderful job for the team. And just keep playing that, because what are you smoking, Fonnie? Like, really? Like, what are you on that you say? Now, you can say, hey, your job is secure. We got you. We're going to work through these challenges. That's different than saying you've done nothing. Everything you're doing is above board. That's crazy.
That's the thing, the choice. Because, guys, if you've missed it, if you're out of the loop on this, or you just want to hear it again, because why not? I mean, the response, what Fonnie is responding to is some email correspondence supposed to be from somebody in Germany. My thumbnail says some guy. Could be some girl. Who really cares? The subject line reads, YSL RICO case. What are you doing? Dear Miss Love, I have been watching your behavior for quite some time now, and I'm wondering, how can you be so bad at your job after all these years of experience? The new judge, who was trying to help you, not as much as Ural did initially, is fed up with you finally. You are ruining your career and what is left of the reputation of the Fulton County DA's office. Please just rest this case, or you will get into so much more trouble. Maybe you're going to lose your job and will have issues in finding a new one because your unprofessional behavior and your haphazard and unorganized ways of working are on display for everyone to see. Please just do the right thing. You're going to lose this case anyway because you lost the jury about 6 months ago already. And what is eventually going to come out is that young thug is innocent anyway. He is not effing Pablo Escobar, but you are acting like it. Just stop it, please, Miss Love. Kind regards from Germany. So this is the email that's chosen to get a response.
Allegedly.
But yeah, and I don't know about the original email, but Doug's seen this. Doug has said
yes,
that the response at least is what is part of what Whitaker put in the record.
That is correct.
So
I just have I still just have too many problems with this, because, and if you could pull up Fonnie Willis's response to this letter.
Oh wait, did I share
Yeah, that's
one?
it.
Okay.
That's it. But so just a thought. In this letter, She's going to tell this fantastic story about this Uber driver from heaven that's believed in Rico, and he wishes Memphis had Rico, and you're doing a great job, Adrian. Don't you worry about your job, and so on and so forth. But then she goes on and says that, your DA gets 100 bad messages and 100 positive messages every day.
And where are these 100 positive ones?
Right. So besides the fact that this is probably your constituents, so there's 100 bad messages or negative or critique messages, probably from Fulton County residents. And the same thing with your 100 positive messages. Again, probably from Fulton County residents. Well, she just says that 50% of them I don't listen to because they're just haters. But they're your constituents, though, friend. But even more than that, she wants me to believe, and I don't know how this all works out. She wants me to believe that she is so busy that she has time to read a random email from somebody labeled YSL Rico case. What are you doing? She has enough time. Go ahead. Help me out. No, go ahead.
No, you finish your thought. My bad.
And I'm supposed to believe that she has time enough to do that, to parse through all of these messages and so forth. Okay. I just don't know how the game is played, so I'm trying to make sure I follow it correctly, because this is the worst reality television show ever, period, bar none. Okay, go ahead, friend.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I think this is a great point, and Raphael, the more good to see you, not the only person to ask. The judge wasn't on the initial email, was she?
I don't think so.
That means she was intentionally added, CC'd. But, and we're going to watch day 142 either tomorrow or Monday, because I think court is off Monday anyway. I got to catch up. But I thought I saw a clip of this on X, because I didn't watch the full trial stream. Video be draining the battery power. But I swear Whitaker said something like to the effect of like she ignores these things anyway, and that she never would have noticed had Fani not responded. And I have to listen to the wording again, but to me, my general impression was it was sitting in the inbox and the court ignored it.
It's very possible.
And that's not really an ex parte communication if any of the parties haven't participated in a response, right? If someone's just emailing everybody, it's not automatically going to become part of the trial record just because one party's missing from it. But as soon as someone engages in the communication and not all parties are part of it, now it becomes ex parte.
Correct.
So I have to hear that wording again. And sometimes Whitaker's not always clear in her wording.
Give you a heads up. It's probably within the first 45 minutes. That's where she has that discussion. Where she's talking about Sprinkle and the laptop, and then, and of course, the whole email debacle. So it's probably in that first 45, 46 minutes. And I think I have it clipped out. I almost certain I clipped it out yesterday, but I ended up not even getting through the whole thing because we were laughing looking at this stuff.
Yep. And Rio, it becomes ex parte because Fani had replied. So now there's communications involving a party and the court without the other party knowing about it. So as soon as Fani replied, that's why she had to file it into the record.
But also, hats off to Judge Whitaker. Judge Whitaker didn't want that Glanville treatment, because I've seen people say, well, they were trying to set her up to see if they could get her recused because of, Glanville, so on and so forth. She did the right thing by whether it was ex parte when she got it or whether it was ex parte if she hit send and reply to hit send. It doesn't matter. I think Judge Whitaker did the right thing, but like, no, ma'am, no, sir. And got her hands off it quick, sent it out to everybody. So let that sunlight shine in. That was the right thing to do, whether it was truly ex parte or not. Judge Whitaker got her eyes on the Georgia Supreme Court. She said, y'all clowns are not going to get me kicked off the Supreme Court, mess around with you. That's what
I'm not about to be next.
Right. That's what she told. She ain't tell me that, but that's what she said in not so many words.
Rogue Bonze says, I was just driving my Uber and this weird lady started talking about RICO laws. I just nodded and agreed. So Rogue Bonze is the alleged Uber driver.
There you go.
Well, let's read this story, because you know how stories can vary, right? So let's see how Fani relays this story, because it's her relaying a story from a friend. But this is in response to this initial email that we looked at a few minutes ago. Miss Love, please ignore this foolish. So reply all, but just to Miss Love in the greetings.
I always do that. I do that all the time. All the time.
I always say like, hey, everybody. And then if I say need to specify something to one person, then I specify their name and dash.
I
and
don't do
then
that.
glue them back together at the end.
I just carpet bomb everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody's gonna get this encouragement. Everybody's gonna get this great story about the Uber driver. Everybody needs it.
Oh my gosh. Please ignore this foolishness. As you know, the elected district attorney is extremely proud of you and believes you to be a huge asset to this office and our community. You have no chance of losing your job, and your service is greatly appreciated. That part pissed me off. Folks who have never tried cases will always have nasty things to say. Fair enough. But while they criticize from the sidelines, they fear the arena. They are not risking life and limb to keep our community safe. This also pissed me off because this is supposed to be the people verse. Like, the prosecution is supposed to be on behalf of the people. So this is an us versus them otherizing that really doesn't match how things are supposed to work.
Might we also add, it's a gigantic grandstand about how wonderful you are and we are for what this great thing that we're doing, which again is void of the fact that you're supposed to be doing it on behalf of the citizens of Fulton County. Yeah, continue, please. Here's my favorite part.
Let me tell you an anecdote of encouragement this morning. A good friend of mine called this weekend and said she was in an Uber, and the Uber driver, presumably, randomly began talking about being from Memphis and how much violence there was in Memphis. She said the Uber driver said in Memphis they do not have the ability to do RICO. He said, "I am so proud of our DA here in Atlanta and her YSL team. They are not afraid and they are fighting for justice." I tell you this random anecdote to encourage you to brush your shoulders off and keep your eye on the prize, which will always be justice. Please know that your boss gets 100 nasty messages and 100 nice messages a day. I focus on one thing every day, representing my community in a way that is fair. I am asking you to continue to focus on justice and ignore the haters. I'm extremely proud of you. Now go make it an amazing day. Yours in service, giant Fonnie T. Willis signature. Oh,
Okay.
man.
I had a lot of problems with this yesterday, and it has not subsided by much today. Besides the fact that she wrote it in like 900 font, which is ridiculous. This third person writing as if she's like Deadpool breaking the fourth wall is comedy gold. Your DA, that makes your DA gets 100 nasty messages. Either a clerk or assistant wrote this on behalf of Fonnie, and Fonnie just tagged her name on the bottom, or Fonnie Willis is so nose blind that she would literally write like this. Or thirdly, it could be like a really bad version of ChatGPT. ChatGPT was drunk and it put together this letter because this is really bad. I do want to point out something here. If you go back up to the
on this page, or
no, the previous page, please forgive me.
Okay, because I have it like by images, so it's like kind of fun.
And we're gonna remove Rogue Banzai because we know he's the Uber driver. We know he's an Uber driver. We might need to bring him in here to see how he's feeling good. Okay. The idea and the notion. Most people, let's say Memphis is a city that is experiencing a lot of crime. That is true. But most people don't think of it as, boy, we have a lot of crime because we don't have RICO statutes. They're probably thinking like, hey, we don't have a lot of crime because the police are not arresting people on the street. The police are not stopping these drag racers or this dope man at the corner or whatever. They're not doing it. Nobody says, hey, the reason we have crime is because we don't have RICO. That doesn't even make sense. But
right, and you can still arrest somebody for the underlying crime, and then it's the prosecution that decides to pursue things as a RICO charge.
And please add, and she beat me to it. I think her name is Miss Love, Disappointed Father Rose.
The statue.
She beat me to it.
Heck
they have the statue in Tennessee. So this idea, most people don't even know the word RICO until this happened, right? Most of us are not thinking about it. So they probably were not, you're not sitting around saying, boy, my streets are crime ridden, man, wish we had RICO. You're thinking like, where are the police? We need more police officers. We need more SWAT, more gang units, more tanks or whatever to stop this crime. But you're not thinking,
it's always like a tough on crime rather than we need a specific statute.
Right. Nobody's thinking like this. I'm sorry. Nobody said this. I'm sorry. I just don't believe anyone literally had this conversation with them. not organically. Let me say it like
Why,
that.
if you get 100 emails, why was this one from the guy from Germany, supposedly from Germany, because that's what it says. Why is that the one you respond to? Because wouldn't you want to respond to someone that seemed more like a constituent?
Right, because this person is not a constituent. And they
So
let you
if
know
get
that
100,
because they said warm regards from Germany. You know this person is not voting for you. You know this person has no leeway in your no power, if you will, in your election. Why are you worrying about this person again? Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I understand how this game is played.
just a mess all around. Guys, if you want to bookmark this to browse on your own. Oh, by the way, there is a link in the description with what I'm calling my scratch pad. It's just a Google Doc that archives all the links that I need to be able to pull
Oh,
up during the
nice.
stream. So it's not meant to look pretty for you guys, but it's an easy way to jump to anything we talk about here.
No, I love
But
that,
this
man. That's
is, you know,
cool.
Thugger Daily. Yeah, I call it my
Shout out.
scratch pads. It's usually when I do like videos on demand, like when I'm live streaming a trial, it's kind of like the trial link is the only thing. But I do try to do that.
Man, so
And great
not
point,
only
Natasha. 1989, so it's nothing new. It's not even a new statute. It's been there.
but watch this, watch this. I bet you nobody cared. Nobody's been worried for the last 45 years that Tennessee's had RICO has been worried about, man, I wonder how robust our RICO laws are. You just want people to get off the street doing crime. You got criminals out there criminaling. You just want them to stop doing that. You don't care about RICO. You care about them not doing crime stuff. That's it.
Well, and the funny part of it all is a lot of people had said, and the proof is already in the pudding because there are convictions for these underlying acts listed in the RICO. But
Yes.
for the ones that aren't, people are like, hey, this would have made more sense to try some of these co-defendants individually for most of these counts. So either they've been convicted or adjudicated in some way, dispositioned in some way previously, and they're being tacked on in this RICO indictment. Most of the people that took pleas, you know, they went through their cases already, and then they were stuck with the count 1 and maybe a possession of a firearm charge, rather than like, you know, a shooting, right? It's
Absolutely.
been separated. So if RICO's supposed to be the answer, why is the common consensus, and not just from us lay people here on YouTube and having conversations, but attorneys from all over the country saying, some of this seems like it would be better suited to prosecute individually rather as part of a RICO. So is RICO really the answer in this context?
I don't think RICO's the answer, and I've said this before. I think RICO should not be states and counties should not be able to bring RICOs. It should be federal charges. If you put all your pieces together, you lay out all the pieces out and say, man, this is looking a lot like a RICO. You need to go ahead and pick up that phone, dial 1-800-FED, and have them come and investigate it and go from there. Because
1-800-FED, is that what the Cobb County Sheriff called when he got his order wrong?
That's what he called, man. That's what he called. I want to know what was the. I do think that's interesting for the Burger King guy. What code did he call in for them to come? Because they did come with their lights blaring.
Yeah, it sounded
So
like
yeah,
they were
what did they
flying
call?
down.
Like, that is abuse of power to the utmost degree. But I don't think I just don't think they're able and capable to run these properly. And we're watching it in 4K how Fonnie Willis and her team are not able to handle this. They are stumbling, they're fumbling, they're making mistake upon mistake upon mistake day in and day out. It's a regular occurrence. It used to be almost weekly, but now it's almost like you don't want to click off in that last 45 minutes because either A, Brian Steele's going to stand up and make a motion, or B, they're going to do something ridiculous that you're going to be like, why did I turn it off? And it's almost daily now. It's almost daily, at least every 2 days. That's crazy.
Well, and if it makes it to appeal, can you imagine the amount of, and I always say it wrong, but like I can think of several people that will file an amicus briefing.
Oh yeah.
Just like it's just going to be so many people, whether it's an interest in the RICO statute, whether it's an interest in the rights of an individual defendant, there's just going to be so many friends of the court filing motions on behalf of the defense. I really don't think we'll see a balanced ratio of people filing briefs at the appeals court in supporting the state as many as there will be in, to back up the defense.
Yeah.
So
I'm with Doug. They're fighting for this to go to the jury and get a favorable outcome with the jury, not to go to appeal, because that's going to be years upon years, and those men are going to still be sitting in jail during that time, and it's going to be ridiculous. I think I did the math. It's going to be like, if the transcripts alone are going to be almost $250,000.
like killing a small forest.
Right.
That's
Going to be insane. So, that's bananas, but it doesn't engender a high level of like, man, they are competent over there and they are really trying to do their best work. They can't. And notice in here, they talk about they're doing what's right for the community and they want to do seeking justice. If they were seeking justice, wouldn't they be in there every single day, dialed in like a hawk, because they realize what they're doing as the DA's office is going to take some very bad people off the street, and they're going to do the right thing. They want to get this done as quickly as possible so they can get these bad people off the street. But every day it comes in here more and more half baked. I mean, now we're like 3/4 baked. I don't know how you go baking backwards, but that's what they're doing. Like every day they come in here worse. Like, dude, you should
put
just
it back in the oven and somehow it's still raw. Like, how many times are you gonna put this thing in the oven and it's not gonna cook?
When are you gonna realize that the gas is cut off? I mean, like, really, you're not cooking. Adrian, stop it. And I do think it's kind of interesting. She wasn't there yesterday. Like, why were you not there? But you let Simone Hilton catch all that smoke. You let
Yeah, I agree. And like usually when I don't get to watch things, I don't follow anything. Like I have a work meeting on Mondays and I start my streams on Mondays at 12 noon and I go into it blind. Like I don't know what's happened until we catch up. But this I've actually seen bits and pieces on X all week, and I'm excited to see. It seems like everyone's like, hey, it was actually pretty productive with Atkins and Hilton doing the arguments, getting through things without Love being the one making the arguments. So I'm excited to see that. It is very interesting timing that she wasn't there right after she got that encouragement email.
Right. Yeah, that's just interesting. I'm not gonna speculate, but I probably will speculate on it. And it's just interesting. It causes me to say, what's going on here? But to the point, Hilton and Atkins move much better than Love and Atkins and Love and Hilton. Love is, in my opinion, the weight that slows down that team from making progress. Now, granted, I disagree with a lot of things they say. Like I disagree with the whole entire argument about rap music. Oh, by the way, I did get the book Rap on Trial. It is a really good book.
Mine's supposed to deliver tomorrow. I like reading hard copies when I can, and everything's been delayed getting to me. So tomorrow's the day. Otherwise, I would have read it when the power was out. I would have been like, yes, I have a book.
So, matter of fact, are you on Goodreads?
No.
Okay.
But hold on. I want to get to, because I've got like layers here. So the Ashleigh Merchant email to Love was so great. And I want to get to that, but I want to do Mounk Tounk's plea revocation first.
Gotcha.
I want to do it in that order. And I think you might be well familiar with this already, and probably half the chat is as well. And before I get lost in the sauce, I did want to thank people that are generously sending in supers and gifting memberships. One of my new favorite names, Miss Love's Disappointed Father, Matt Rose, gifted a membership. Thank you so much. And then Elizabeth Wright came in right behind. And I always love, because her picture, she's wearing the green.
I love it.
She looks like the Queen Slime, gifting 5 more memberships. Super generous and super great to see you, Elizabeth. GV says, girl, you have no idea how we've missed you. Always love to see your picture with like the skeleton hands and the little cheeks. Good to see you, GV.
Oh, wow, okay.
Thank you for the kind words and the green hearts. Shuri for the 2, thank you so much. And Raymond Roar, the hurricane blew my hat away. I actually do have a surprise, but I'm saving it for Nick Starrow's next Friday panel stream. I have a new hat, and I think it has something to do with how we got the power back. It's a joke. It's going to be a joke, but you guys will see the reveal on Nick Starrow's next Friday stream. So thank you so much, Raymond.
It's the Gatkel Strike Force hat.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love that. It just has the picture of all of them on it.
That would be hilarious.
Ms. Love's Disappointed Father also says, I hate when customers ask to cut it in half. You do it. Well, I guess like driving in the car, it makes sense. Or for a kid, I think is another reason it makes sense. So I see reasons for it. I don't know. I guess when you get something custom ordered, it makes sense. But aren't some fast food stuff already like wrapped up?
But
They can like
that probably
undo
wouldn't have
it
been a
and like.
problem. I don't know
And it
the
is
ins and
their
outs of it,
slogan,
but
right? You're supposed to have it your way.
I
So
mean,
they're kind of
they can cut in
abandoning
half.
their promise.
That's not a lap too far. They can
What
cut
if
it
we
in.
like? I'm gonna go to Burger King and ask for them to cut something into like eighths. Just. I don't want to do
Why?
that to the worker. I take it back. I wouldn't want to do it to the worker. But would they do it?
I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I can't imagine it would really just turn the world upside down. Like, oh, they want us to cut it in quarters. Like, just bang, bang. You got a knife there, just do it. I can't see it being a problem. But I do kind of wonder what did they do? They just didn't cut it in half for him, or what was the issue that he was actually having? I was kind of missing
Right,
that
if
part.
they
But
got it wrong, did they miss the mayo or?
yeah, give him a whole burger. Like, what was the problem?
Because right, there was only 2 specifications, or maybe they
Cut it in
gave
half,
him
no
like somebody else's
mayonnaise.
order entirely.
Yeah, it was just
But
cut
he focused on the one thing. This is too
in
much
half, no
for
mayonnaise.
one Burger King story. Why?
Right, this Burger King story is crazy.
Shout out to Cobb County. Holy moly.
Yeah, we got to do better, Cobb. We got to do better.
Big thank you to TSC for the one. Good to see ya. Hank Deasy says, shout out Cat and the chat with the capital C. That is right. Capital
I love it.
C
I
in
love
the
it,
chat.
Hank.
The honorable. Got to keep it capital. Green eggs, no ham. Always good to see you. I swear you've been a green member before, but
Yeah.
YouTube just does things sometimes. So glad to have you a member, what I think is again. Nick Starro says, a Jackery Explorer 1000 V2 portable power station costs $7.99. See, when I move out of where I live, maybe. If Kat wants me on, I will take a shot of bad whiskey for every $100 we raise so she never suffers from a power outage again. Okay.
Wow.
And Nick.
Well, you already got one.
Nick.
You already got one right there.
Big amazing shout out to Dee in the chat.
Wow.
If you guys could drop Dee, that is Dee. If you guys could show Dee some love, this is incredible, and it's all for, where's Nick? Let me get this invite link.
Nick. I mean, I think we can.
We gotta hold you to it now, Nick. You gotta use the Sasquatch shot glass. So this is incredibly generous, Dee. Thank you so much. And I would love to have a generator. I think being prepared is cool. Like, I'll just say it. I think it's cool to be prepared. I don't know in my current living situation how I'd run a generator, but absolutely a must for when I'm living somewhere with a whole yard and air to ventilate. But Dee put the pressure on.
Wow.
And let's
Come
see,
on,
has
Nick. You
been
got to
in
step
here
up the
recently?
game, my friend.
Especially if we're going to do this Mounk Tounk thing. I'm sure he also has thoughts about that.
Absolutely. I'm going to let Nick jump in so that I can prepare myself for tomorrow.
Sounds good. I'll see you chat side with the capital C.
But no, this was fun. Thank you, Kat, for letting me jump in and go over the letters with you. Absolutely. Whenever you need me, you know where to find me. Send up the bat signal.
All right, works for me. You gotta say bye to DWC.
Love you, girl. You be good. Y'all be good people.
You too.
See you soon.
And then we are still waiting for Nick. That link is there for Nick, and I'll drop it again for Nick. Dee, again, thank you so much. And loving that you are sponsoring the Nick Promise here. Love it, love it, love it. Send the link for me to show proof. Hold on, wait, Nick, this is the link. Wait, do you mean a different link besides StreamYard? And we'll see, because we are going to get through, and this says 61 pages, but it's mostly because it includes the transcript of the plea colloquy and then the dispositions. But what we're about to look at, and this is Adam Abbasi, I don't know how he says his name. We'll figure that out another time. But he seems to be the person in the DA's office that handles a lot of bonds and plea probation revocations. So we're going to take a look at this. I think there's a little bit of interest in here. And with Nick, we'll get the perfect Swedish reactions. Let's get Nick up here.
Hey!
Hey, it's a Bucky's Woodsy! It's a Bucky's Woodsy! Okay, Nick, I'm going to call a quick audible. You give the chat your elevator pitch. I will be right back.
Oh, okay. Hi, folks. It's me, Nick, from the other channel you watch when you're not here. Yeah, I also cover this trial, and I do it from legal snark point of view. Now, Kat does more research than I do. I do more of a gut feeling legal analysis in my streams, and I yell a lot, and I curse a lot more, and I may or may not have been calling Miss Love. No, not on Kat's channel. Kat's channel is a clean one.
Look what I got. I was gonna unveil it on your Friday stream.
Ah! You got a Bucky's hat.
I had nothing to do. I was so bored. So, Bucky's is open 24 hours. So I said, I'm going to drive to Bucky's. And when I was leaving after checking out and walking back to my car, my roommate sends me a message saying the power's back. So I swear it was like, Bucky's is like a cult thing in America. I swear it's like a joke now. We paid the Bucky god and my power came back on a second later. But now we're matching. Matching.
Yay! Now, where is that vial bottle? I said, bad whiskey. I opened and tried this before. It's spicy pickle flavored whiskey. And the flavor is, how do I describe it? If a jar of pickle has been left opened, and it, for a good while, that's about it. And I'm also using my Bucky's shot glass.
I don't really drink much, but I should have gotten a shot glass for the occasional. I just have this guava soda, which
Cheers,
is nice
folks.
and bubbly. Well, nothing better than taking a shot before looking at this petition to revoke Tounk's
By the way, you didn't see this.
Oh, you got Mr. Jingles a new toy?
Yeah, a new tree.
Did drunk you order that or sober you?
No, sober me.
Sober you.
Yeah. If drunk me had ordered it would be the entire wall.
Oh, man. I do also, and shout out to Joy in the chat. Joy says, you must watch Paralegal Institute. Lots of great info. Yep. Love Paralegal Institute. Great channel, you guys. And also another good one for comprehensive clips where if you don't have a lot of time to look at stuff, he does a great job at parsing things out. He recently did his first live stream and it was awesome. So there is his link to his channel there. Great recommendation. Total vouch.
Yeah, I mean, space yourself out between different channels because each channel has something new to add to this.
And you'll see familiar faces in the chat, so don't feel like a stranger.
Yeah. You retweeted the special conditions
of Gunna? Yeah, I've got that in order. It's going to be great. That's going to be great because I think a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, and that one is interesting because it's so poorly written that you can actually argue that he already fulfilled his probation terms.
Yep. I have it linked. We can take a look at all of it. And to be clear, right now we're going to be looking at Adam Abadi or Abadi, whatever, his petition to revoke Tounk's probation. And the hearing for that, I think it's interesting. It's scheduled for Friday at 4 p.m., which to me makes it seem like, we've got to get this settled within an hour's time. We're not going to have a long time discussing this back and forth. And I don't know which way I think that would lean, but it's a constraint on the time. Friday at 4 p.m.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it will be really interesting. I hope they will stream it because Mounk says he will keep his lawyer, which is interesting. And yeah, I don't know how, because they will argue this in front of the same judge. So Judge Whittaker more or less already knows all the background facts and the arguments and stuff.
And we know that what I think is interesting, that time frame would make me think like the judge is ready to rip out the rug from under somebody. But don't forget, Judge Whittaker reminded Love about, in relation to Ashleigh Merchant potentially being in the courtroom and possibly having to take the stand if necessary about her client, Martinez Arnold. Judge Whittaker's sentiment was, it didn't work out so well for you last time you put an attorney on the stand. So
yeah,
to me, that gives me a gauge, a small read on what I think Whittaker thinks about what she was able to glean from Attorney Wright's testimony while on the stand. And if Attorney Wright sticks with his guns that, like, you know, I didn't read the final copy of the plea, and, you know, Mounk said things were snuck in the final copy and I didn't know about it, you know, in a way, Wright's story went more in line with Mounk. Even though that day he appeared in court but wasn't on the stand yet, he took the neutral stance of, I wouldn't really say one way or the other, but I can understand why my client thought one way.
Yeah.
When he got on the stand, he started to lean more towards his client. And I would imagine if he has to get on the stand again, it won't go any better for Love. So, but it might be Adam arguing, right?
It probably, I don't think it will be Miss Love arguing this on Friday.
I hope they call her as a witness.
I hope so too.
That would be amazing. So we can see what this is, again, Adam's argument here. The state of Georgia, you know, by and through Fonnie T. Willis, District Attorney for the Atlanta Judicial Circuit, and the undersigned Chief Deputy District Attorney, Adam Abbasi, hereby moves this honorable court to revoke the defendant's probation in the above styled manner in accordance with OCGA 42-834.1 and other authority. In support of this motion, the state presents the following. Now, this is going back to the plea on December 28th, 2022, because just as a general reminder, don't forget that there was an entirely separate Alfred plea for another instance with Mounk that Love read the factual bases of into the record in this trial. Like, don't forget that mistake was made, and that mistake was made in front of Judge Whittaker, and Judge Whittaker had to rebuke Love in front of the jury for that mistake. So, interesting that we're seeing an issue raised here. Because I wonder if someone will make a snarky comment to remind the court of that. I would. On December 28th, 2022, the defendant pleaded guilty to conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Chief Judge Ural Glanville subsequently sentenced him to 30 years of probation. The general and special conditions of probation were detailed in the final disposition sentencing sheet filed on that date, which is attached as Exhibit A. And then they also, again, they attach the transcript from the hearing, so we can hear the plea colloquy. 2 special conditions of defendant's sentence. Chief Judge Glanville imposed several special conditions. Now, this is the important part. This is what Mounk supposed to do to keep the other end of the plea deal in place, including a requirement that he fully adhere to all terms of the negotiated agreement. Now, this, I think, is what we're going to see the most argument on. Was it truly negotiated if it seemed like in an email something was agreed upon, but then the final iteration was different than what was agreed upon in the previous correspondence? And we haven't gotten to see that, and we might now be able to see it with this new Friday hearing.
Yeah, and for you who don't know, I do labor law, and I've been handling contracts for 30 years. I mean, thousands have passed my desk. Always read through every single piece of paper before you sign it. Always, always, always. And I was first a bit against Mr. Wright because he said, I don't know how I missed this. But then I watched that negotiate that plea hearing, and he did look through all the papers. So I'm in a bit of conspiracy hat on. I don't see how he missed it, and that leaves that tiny opening that some parts might have been added in afterwards. Because we haven't seen the
rewatch it, but I'm linking to the Plea Colloquy stream. If you guys want to bookmark that to watch, to rewatch, that link is now in the chat and also in that like scratch pad I have in the description.
Now, something I would like to see is not a copy of that. I want to see the original that was signed there, then and there in court. Because some things that you don't get in copies that you get on the original is the imprint of the pen. I don't believe much in these handwriting experts, but you do get an imprint when you sign things and when you cross things.
And what I think is interesting too is after the oral reading, the colloquy was done, Love realized there was a typo and then had an initial on the correction to a typo. But that was after it had been read and agreed upon. So I thought that was just, you know, typos, crossing something out, having to initial it, that's not a small deal. That's why you have to do it. But to do it in that order, I think, could ever so slightly be used in Tounk's favor here.
Yeah. And then after you sign, then you get the copy back, then you read that too. Just to make sure. Because I've been, as I said, I've been doing this for over 30 years. I got hit in the beginning of my career. And I learned. And after that, always read everything and compare it to earlier sections. Compare with my notes. Compare with the emails. Everything needs to be checked and rechecked because you have a moment in time after you sign everything. If you catch something, there is a slight moment in time where you actually can make additions or removals, at least over here. A really narrow time. But
I kind of have a main issue with, you know, if there was no proffer in the first place, it's my opinion, and I'm just a person on YouTube, that the factual acknowledgments, whether if I'm the prosecutor and I'm negotiating something back and forth to get things down to the nitty-gritty, that's one thing. But if I come up with my factual acknowledgments on my own, and I'm not relying on a proffer, I'm not relying on someone else's words, I feel like I'm already setting myself up to fail in the way I'm presenting certain things.
Yeah, because there was a few clear factual errors that he never said and couldn't have done, that she still put on that piece of paper.
And that he didn't know until she said it.
Yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't have known if you didn't put that detail in my ear.
Yeah. And, yeah, it's so much strange, and I don't like strange when it comes to legal papers, because I've done it for so long, and I believe myself to be very thorough when it comes to paperwork.
They say always read the fine print, guys.
Yeah.
And this is why, because they're hanging like 30 years over his life, and it's 30 years probation. So if I was facing 30 years where there's going to be, if I was facing a long block of probation, because I think they ended up giving him 15 and they were willing to drop it after 10, or was that Gunna? Whatever the case is, probation is a scary period. So if I'm agreeing to something with probation being a term, I personally want to know exactly what you're going to have me under the magnifying glass for. Because I feel like you're looking to trap me. I don't think probation is a generous offer. I feel like it's a final chance for me with the ultimate constraints on it. So that's another reason to selfishly like look at what you're supposed to abide by. Because guess what happens? Adam goes on to say, any failure to comply with these terms will be considered a violation of the agreement. Of pertinence to this motion are the following special conditions. And this language is, you know, you'll see it across the other plea agreements. Defendant shall abide in full by each and all of the terms of this negotiated agreement. Defendant's failure to abide by any term of this agreement shall constitute a violation of the agreement. Defendant shall testify truthfully about all matters relating to this case upon which he is questioned at any trial or judicial proceeding stemming from the facts alleged in this indictment. In accordance with testifying truthfully about all matters relating to this case, defendant acknowledges that each and all of the statements contained within the defendant's factual acknowledgments section of this agreement are true. Defendant shall testify truthfully about each statement contained within defendant's factual acknowledgments and any matters related to this case when asked to do so in any proceeding relating to the facts alleged in this indictment. So, shall testify truthfully to all of the statements in factual acknowledgments. So this is tiered, right? We're supposed to follow all these terms, and these terms include that by signing this, I'm agreeing that these factual acknowledgments are true when I'm signing this. And then I'm also agreeing that I will testify truthfully about the statements I'm also signing off as being true. So what if someone argues, you know, he lied when he signed this plea agreement. He lied on this part. He lied by signing off that the defendant's factual acknowledgments were true.
Oh, well, it's still signed. How he then generally it's still signed as.
Well, he'd be breaking his agreement, but as far as what it would mean for the testimony in the case, in the trial.
Generally, to my understanding, it doesn't matter. Generally.
That's a crazy concept.
Yeah. Even if he admits I lied, then but then it comes down to what you did under oath and what predates the testimony on trial and circumstances at the trial or on the trial. So they will still go back to you actually signed this plea agreement and you have been abided by this plea agreement for a year and a half now. You had this document allegedly with you for a year and a half, under which time you could have made amendments to it if you wanted. So I don't think that is an approachable way, but I do believe they will argue it. But I still don't think it's something they can be successful.
I don't think it'll help Mounk or really his attorney, like as a representative. But I think it'll be interesting because it kind of puts them in a catch-22, and maybe they want this because they don't. Maybe they've decided they'd rather his entire testimony be scrappable. It's kind of like, what do you do? Like, does the jury get to know that if they revoke his probation, if on Friday they decide to revoke his probation, can the jury find out about that? Like,
from the defense.
And now I would imagine we see the defense attorneys put pressure on with every cross-examination of someone that has a plea deal. Now they have an extra layer of pressure to put on.
Yeah.
And what if, can they call Mounk back now that he no longer has a plea deal?
Yeah.
Because he might testify differently if he doesn't think he needs to walk a thin line. We might think he tipped over the line, but he might testify differently if this wasn't in place at all.
Yeah. But also the argument from the defense can be that not even the prosecution believes in many more. So why should you, the jury? Reasonable doubt. I have to go back because something also always when signing documents in my area, we don't get copies. We get originals. So we have, if there are three parties sign 3 documents. So everybody gets an original. In this case, I believe that they got a copy. They signed it, handed it over to the court, and then they were sent a copy. I don't know the rules and regulations on contract law in Georgia, so I can't speak to the legality of it. But if this was a civil matter, that would be another thing.
Well, I don't know if they're different copies, but they do attach 2 dispositions that have the same dates, and they both have that same corrected. Where was the little squiggly? This thing, the correction that was made after the oral reading.
Yeah, but that's still a copy. They took the original, made copy. And
yes, I don't know why they attached 2 of them here, unless one was part of the attachment of the actual hearing. Go back up. And then really, like the rest of this, you guys, rather than reading this long paragraph, is Adam's arguing that he violated these conditions here. But we don't get specific quotes.
Exactly.
Of what it was that violated. And you guys remember when we were watching it, we were notating, like, he said, like, 3 is mostly true, 2 is not mostly true. That's not exact. I have it written out somewhere, and it's in my video descriptions from those days. But we don't incorporate any of that stuff here. And
No,
I would think this would be the place to do it.
Yeah, because that gives the judge something. Okay, this is the argument, so they don't have to do as much oral arguments, because this sets up for the prosecution making all the quotes from his testimony. And I don't think Judge Whittaker is especially fond of that. But
No, me either.
I'm really looking forward for Mr. Wright's reply to this.
And
that will be interesting.
It just puts so much into, and that's interesting because this was filed. I mean, that probably falls in what was probably a 5-day window, business day window of a response. So hopefully he's got some time to file that response. But it just has so many questions for me, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about Adam and the state in general. Like, we don't have a proffer here from Mounk Tounk, so we're relying on the factual acknowledgments that came from the mind of someone from the state. And I cannot get over this clip from this week. So shout out to JC for clipping this, because we're going to see a quick clip. But this is the state. This is the stuff they come up with. This is how they represent things. And they're the ones coming up with the factual acknowledgments and writing them for themselves.
All of these shootings are in response to what happens in February with Wyatt and Lucci getting stabbed.
Is it riddled with bullets?
When you say, excuse me, maybe I shouldn't say riddled with bullets, but there are bullet holes in her vehicle.
How many?
I believe there's one to her vehicle.
Okay.
So this is who's coming up with the factual acknowledgments. Like, I think there's such a fundamental problem with how we got there, even before negotiations would have began. So what that we negotiated, that should not be the starting block.
Yeah, and interesting here is during the entirety of Glanville's seating, the defense begged him to fact check the prosecution, and he didn't. Now you have the judge who does it without the defense even asking. Judge Whittaker already knows you have to fact check everything with the prosecution.
Well, I'm curious, what do you think, guys? This on the screen right now is Gunna, or Sergio Kitchens is his full name. This is his plea. He took an Alford plea where he didn't need to admit his guilt. He's just kind of acknowledging that, yeah, you might have enough evidence that I don't want to risk going to trial. But there is a special condition, and this was from the Happily Angry Lawyer. So shout out to them for, like, this is great recall, and why it's like so interesting to be able to follow this as a crowd together. But one of the special conditions is you shall not commit no criminal acts. This is a legal document. This is a binding agreement. And they're telling Gunna that a special agreement is that he shall not commit no criminal acts.
Yeah, and I learned double negatives in 4th grade, I believe.
Like, did nobody read over this?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Like, does this mean he needs to go commit a crime to stay within the terms of this agreement?
Yeah, it's so poorly written. Now go up to up a bit. Look at stop. Back.
Down or up?
Back down.
Okay.
In red, the parties agree that upon completion of the special condition enumerated in 3B below, the suspended sentence will terminate by consent order.
Is there a section 3?
No, that's it. This is section 3. What we were just reading.
I mean,
This
it's not
in red.
technically laid out like that, but
No, I know, it's stupid.
but this,
yeah. So
as soon as he does 500 hours of community service and completes at least 350, a substantial portion of which will require that you speak to young men and women about the hazards and immorality of gangs and gang violence and the decay that it causes the community. You agree that the community service location shall be determined by the office of the Fulton County District Attorney.
Yeah.
So he finishes this, it's done?
Yeah.
This is a good catch, Nick. Holy moly.
Yeah, and that includes, because it doesn't say that it has to be after 3A or the entirety, as long as he performs 3B, he's done. According to how this
him out of having to figure this one out. He doesn't need to actually commit a crime to be done. He can just solve B and be done.
Yeah, so what is 350, complete at least 350. How many weeks are hours? Let's say 40 hours a week or 10 hours a week. That is 35 weeks of community service.
All right, I just dropped the link to this in the chat. Again, a full scratch pad of the links that we're going through, including all like the Twitter accounts. Shout out to everyone that were, shout out to Thugger Daily, but it's nice to name some other people like the Happily Angry Lawyer, which is, I love the name. Happily Angry Lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I know it's interesting to follow more people and connect with people that talk about this case on X.
Yeah. But here's also, because the document in the previous document, here's them trying to revoke it. There's completely different things in red. So I'm not entirely sure if this is when criminal action November, December term of 2022. And it was signed 14th day of December 2022. So I believe this was before the plea agreement. This was what I have no idea why they have two different documents on this. Why they had one from December 14th of 2022 and one from December 28th, 2022.
I wonder if that's, and Tameka, so in the description, you guys, I should explain it more clearly. There is a Google Doc link in the description that contains a list of all the links for each of the subjects we're talking about. Each of them has a header and a bunch of links there.
Yeah, this is
that should all be in the description.
Yeah, this is his Alford plea. 5 years, 1 year commuted to time served, balance of 4 years suspended.
And remember, Wooney Lee, we've heard about Wooney Lee. When Wooney Lee testifies, Wooney Lee also had an Alford plea in this trial. Glanville's like, you're so young, you have your life ahead of you, and you have kids to raise and inspire, and he was able to sign off on an Alford plea. So we haven't had Wooney Lee take the stand yet, but expect that he might, and he has an Alford plea, so that's a little bit of a difference there. We probably won't hear a factual basis read onto the record yet again, hopefully, but who knows? And then I wanted to ask you,
by Mr. Sadow here on December 14th.
Do you have where?
No, it is this. If you go further down,
his signature, the date.
Their signature and date in this document that you have up here now.
On one of maybe this one.
No, this one that you have up now.
Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, that makes sense. No wonder I couldn't see it. This is only the disposition. That's probably why.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Steve Sadow was Gunna's attorney. No, what we're looking at on the screen right now is Gunna's plea agreement, you guys.
Oh. Yeah, yeah.
But I wanted
there are so many documents, but according to this, Gunna's represented by Mr. Sado. Yeah, if he's done his 350 hours of community service, he has, as I read it, and I could argue it in court, this is completed.
Well, I also thought you saw this little error pointed out by GSU grinding, and it gets corrected in the language, right? In the actual like special conditions. But GSU carrying off of something that Allison Yates had pointed out, points out that they put the wrong statute here. They use 131B when it's supposed to be 133.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like kind of another example of a clerical error that's not itty bitty and tiny. Because GSU's question is, wait, this carries a 10-year max. And in a plea, they're adding a 15-year sentence to serve.
Yeah, that's strange. That the prosecution is this careless.
GSU is another great follow, dropping his link in the chat. Again, it's also in the like Google Doc scratch pad in the description. But just a lot of clerical errors, and it's like some judges might take an issue with some of that. Maybe not something small and tiny, but can you imagine if they carried this throughout the document? They do say 133 properly in other parts of the document. But if they had just copied and pasted the statute, like whoever filled it out just referenced it and kept going, I think that could actually have been a problem. Like, it's just be more careful if it's something this serious. And I don't really know. It's my guess that does Adam also help put these together, or does he just deal with the... Because why I'm asking is Joseph Papp, who's often in the courtroom, says that Adam Abbasi, Chief Deputy DA, has been showing up to court recently, primarily when they were trying to get Quindarius Zachary on the stand. So the role that Adam plays in this office, like how often is he the one actually typing these things out?
I haven't seen one except this one.
Right.
So it seems like he is the one that types if their
like
witnesses damage control, because I don't know, probably damage control and taking the decision, should we do this now or after the trial? And somebody took the decision, yeah, let's do this now. For some odd reason, the prosecution seems to think that this is strategically good to put this on Mr. Zachary. And yeah, but then they give the argument to the defense that not even the prosecution believes him. And he's kind of a key witness. One of them.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that Zachary was probably the trickiest of all the recent ones that we saw. I mean, I think he took... we know we had some like fireworks moments where like Mounk was like, why are you keep yelling at me, Miss Love? But I think Zachary was a bit more like talking out of both sides and kind of playing around the questions that Love was asking. But I'm really curious how Adam's gonna do. I don't know if... I feel like Adam might grate Whitaker's gears a little bit. Like, do you guys remember when he took the stand? I have it queued up if you guys want to revisit some of the way he took the stand. For those that either missed the day or don't remember when he was answering questions about Melnick and his correspondence with Melnick in relation to a case with Copeland. And he was called for the purpose of showing that Love shouldn't have known that Melnick was representing Copeland, and that Copeland didn't have
yeah, that piece of horse garbage. Yeah, violating the... yeah. There's so much. I keep forgetting. I mean, there is so much misconduct in this trial. I forget things in between because it's not weekly. It's not daily. It's almost hourly. Every time Miss Love opens her mouth, something really bad happens, and that is, I believe, why.
To do it again.
Yeah, that is why Friday was so seamless. They got so much work done because Miss Love wasn't there. And I still think it's very, very amusing that Adrian Love's middle name is Latrell. Because
I think that's
have
my
anyone
name
seen
and
White
my middle
Chicks?
name when I'm yelled at. Oh, is that why you keep? I was like, Love Latrell doesn't really seem like a name. Like my name, my full name and middle name, when I'm getting yelled at by my mom as a kid, it was very much a little kid getting yelled at name combination. But Love Latrell, it doesn't really have that same mom yelling at a kid.
So Adrian Latrell Love, and if you've seen White Chicks and the person trying to hitch on the white chick is named Latrell.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, shout out to that movie. I'm bad with names and didn't remember that. They're yelling at us. They want to play Sprinkle. I mean, Adam. Adam, in a way, could be the alter ego of Sprinkle.
And I've also been told it's a black man's name. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know so many things can be used. Like,
yes, as Dream says, Terry
way.
Crews' character in White Chicks was named Latrell.
Shout out to that was a hilarious character all around. Yeah, like good thing you're pretty saying evil Sprinkle. I'm telling you, it could be an alter ego here. I could put it on 1.25 so we can get the gist of it. I mean, really, you kind of get the gist right as he's about to take the stand before he even sits down. I think we've got it queued up right on cue.
Reg finished and I got up to leave, just like all of the lay witnesses who have no clue. And then I felt like an idiot, but oh well, maybe Mr. Abbasi won't do that. We'll see.
By the way, I think we are due for next one.
Cheers. I'll drink my glass soda.
You're coming up to the witness stand.
Now listen to this. It's quiet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember this guy. He has a very slappable face.
Yeah, he said I'm an officer. Yeah, I'm going to rewind it so you can hear him. He doesn't want to be put under oath because he's an officer of the court. So he's immediately pushing back and doesn't want to be put under oath.
Like Mr. Melnick, I'm an officer of the court. He can swear himself in, but whatever.
All right, let's.
Like Mr. Melnick, I'm an officer of the court. He wasn't sworn in, but yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
That right there, what is your guys' read of how this Friday hearing will go for Mounk plea revocation if it's him arguing? Because Whitaker did not really seem pleased with that. Oh, this was a time. But his answers don't really get any more professional, in my opinion, as this goes on.
Chief Deputy Abbasi, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Just for the record, would you state where you work and what your position is?
DA's office in Fulton County. I'm the Chief Deputy of the Major Crimes Division.
All right, and February the...
It's ABBATE, and I said Chief Deputy of the Major Crimes Division.
February of 2023, where were you working within the DA's office, if anywhere?
Same position.
All right. During that time, do you recall having a conversation with an attorney by the name of John Melnick regarding a person by the name of Kenneth Copeland?
Yeah, it was a conversation on the Zoom call where Judge Whitaker was on the call and heard all the contents of what I'm about to testify to. Yes.
All right. And would you tell the court what the purpose of that Zoom call and that conversation with Mr. Melnick was?
It was related to a bond order or bond conditions for a bond order for his, I think it's 22 SC 182. I think maybe 134. It was his possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and reckless driving, I think is what it was.
Okay. And did you have occasion to look at the bond order and see its contents, or the proposed bond order? Had the state proposed the bond order?
Yes.
Right. And did the state's proposed bond order have any reference to or any conditions that are related to Mr. Copeland's witness, position as a witness, in this case, 22 SC 183572?
No, not to my recollection specifically, no.
Did the bond order or the proposed bond order reference co-defendants? Let me ask this. Are you familiar with the co-defendants on, or the defendants on indictment 22 SC 183572?
Some of them, yes. I've tried. I think Khalif Adams was somebody who I was the prosecutor when he was convicted of murder.
And the bond order, did it reference some of the defendants on this case?
I think it referenced all of the defendants on the case involving Jeffrey Williams.
All right. Did the bond order, well, Your Honor, I'd ask the court to take judicial notice of the bond order, which is in this case.
I'll take
already
judicial
filed.
notice of it, but I'm also just going to print it out right now and make it a part of this record. So it'll just be easier.
And I did misspeak and say, in this case, it is actually in Mr. Copeland's 22 SC case.
Yeah, 22 SC 182134.
Thank you. Would you please tell the court the content of the conversation, communication you had with Mr. Melnick regarding Mr. Copeland on that day?
Yes, it was. So it was me, myself, Abigail Potter, who at the time was the trial division lawyer assigned to Judge Whitaker's courtroom. Judge Whitaker and Mr. Melnick, and I believe Ms. Rosser, the case manager who set up the Zoom link, was on the Zoom, and it was just a discussion as it related to the bond conditions for his possession of a firearm by a convicted felon case that was before Judge Whitaker, and the conditions that would be included in it.
Was there any part of that conversation that referenced Mr. Melnick representing Mr. Copeland as a witness in this case?
Yes, specifically. And the reference is that Mr. Melnick was all hot about the fact that I was on the call representing as a representative pretty much for you as a member of the team for this case, because he specifically said on more than one occasion that I'm not here about that case. I don't represent him on that case. The only case that I have before this judge that I represent Mr. Copeland on is the 22 SC case. He said it over and over again, and he kept making snide remarks as it related to you and the district attorney's office, and eventually me, to which I finally interrupted him. I said, we're done with your used car salesman, stuff. And that's when the judge was.
So he's calling another attorney a used car salesman. Like, I'm not sure that this is going to be, I think it'll be entertaining for us on Friday at 4 p.m. when he has to make arguments, especially if the other attorney, if Derek Wright is trying to say, hey, you know what? We didn't read something. I think Adam is going to bite back and really try to lay it down. I'm just not sure if that will land well or not so well. I don't know. What do you think, Nick? You might be muted.
Sorry, I got busy. There's something wrong on Twitter. I have to correct it.
Okay, cool. We'll keep playing. Go.
Sorry.
Fight the Twitter fight. Keyboard warrior Nick over there.
Kind enough to intervene and say, all right, whatever, we're here just for the 22 SC case. We understand you don't represent him in the YSL case because there's nothing to represent him on, was the gist in my recollection.
And when you're talking about the 22 SC case, are you solely meaning the one Mr. Copeland faced charges on, criminal charges on?
Yes, the one that was before Judge Whitaker that we were there for to, negotiate and agree upon bond conditions for. I think it's 22 SC 182, I think it's 134, and the charges were possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and I think reckless driving. I think this all happened February 24th of 2023.
Do you know whether that Zoom call was transcribed or whether or not there was a court reporter on that Zoom call?
I'm not sure, but I don't remember seeing, I think it was Miss Evelyn, who was the court reporter back then. I don't recall.
Do you recall how many times Mr. Melnick stated with any degree of emphasis that he did not and was not representing Mr. Copeland in his capacity as a witness in 22 SC 183-572?
2 or 3 times, and it was all in relation to the state's request that he be fitted with an ankle monitor. And that was particularly angersome, I guess is the correct word, as it relates to Mr. Melnick's reaction, because that's when he kept saying, this case has nothing to do with that case. I have nothing to do with that case. I don't see why he has to have an ankle monitor.
Are you familiar with what it is that the state was trying to secure with the ankle monitor?
His location at all times, I suppose.
And are you familiar with
Are you familiar with what, love? What are we familiar with?
Someone's buffering.
Did you speak with Mr. Melnick at any other time regarding his representation of Mr. Copeland as a witness in this case?
No, I try to avoid him as much as possible.
Has he ever in life represented to you?
And this is the thing. You are supposed to, it's my understanding that Melnick, Adam handles negotiations, bond conditions, something where you have to correspond back and forth with attorneys. We just heard him say with Copeland specifically, the reason they were interacting was for these conditions. They want an ankle monitor. I'm not willing to give that condition. But you don't want to communicate. You try to avoid them as much as possible. So what work are you really out here doing to do your job the way you're supposed to be doing it? It seems like you're avoiding your very job description for the role that the seat that you fill in this district attorney's office.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
It seems like he wants no relief to, so therefore he stopped the communication.
And
because
then,
he simply didn't want
to.
Yeah. So another person who believes very, very highly of themselves. And that is why he's wearing that snug jacket, because he believes it makes him bigger. It does not. It makes him look like he can't dress himself.
It is pretty snug.
Well, look who's talking. It is onesie man.
The correctly sized onesie.
Yeah.
Now, this was from August 5th. We can keep going if you want, or the next thing in line was the Ashleigh Merchant letter, because that's like kind of an opposition to, we've been talking about plea conditions, and now we're going to read this letter from Ashleigh Merchant that kind of, from the other perspective, says, listen, if you try to mess with me, you are playing with fire. This is from August 5th. The rest, if you want to check out the rest of this, I want to call him Sprinkles so bad. This is Adam Abbasi. Abbasi. I don't know how to say his name. I'm just going to call him Adam. If you guys want to check that out. But guys, this was honestly, when this came out, I was sad that I didn't have power and couldn't get up on screen to talk about it, or even like watch the other streams. When they were
This
doing
is a
it.
good one.
Oh, it's so good.
Miss
So
Merchant really, really telling the DA's office, don't F me with my client, I will ruin you.
Yep. And this wasn't the first one. We know that there was other correspondence that was CC'd with the judge, because the judge mentioned it on a prior day, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like as a first reminder, a preliminary reminder, hey, stop trying to call my client to the stand when you know I'm going to be out of town. And without giving me proper notice ahead of time to make other arrangements. We got that from however Whitaker described it a few weeks ago. So now this is something new and more recent, sent over on October 9th. So, dear Miss Love, I hope you are well. Please allow this to follow up on our prior discussions in connection with Mr. Martinez-Arnold's testimony in the trial of State v. Williams et al. Given that the state has sought arrest warrants in connection with other witnesses, I wanted to proactively reach out to you regarding the scheduling of Mr. Arnold's testimony so that we may avoid any last-minute scheduling issues and avoid a legally improper material witness warrant issuing for Mr. Arnold. In an effort for full transparency, I am copying the court and known defense lawyers on this communication. I understand the state would like to speak with Mr. Arnold prior to him taking the stand at trial, but Mr. Arnold did not agree as part of his plea negotiations to allow the state to interview him. He provided testimony as part of his plea colloquy, and the state was free then to inquire of him, and it did. As a result, Mr. Arnold declines the state's invitation to talk with the state again prior to his trial testimony. Now, we're going to put a pin in this because I know, and I don't think I even need to say it, you guys can guess in the chat, when Love or whoever questions, like I can already hear the question, oh, you agreed to talk to the defense? Why did you talk to us? Like, well, I didn't have to, and I chose not to. In connection with his anticipated trial testimony and as part of the plea negotiations in December 2022, I requested 2 things. First, that the state honor my leaves as Mr. Arnold's counsel of record, and 2, that the state give Mr. Arnold and me advance notice of his trial testimony so that I could comply with my legal obligations pursuant to Superior Court Rule 17.1, which requires that I provide other courts with at least 7 days' notice of any conflicts. To be clear, my continued request, and it's just so subtle, my continued request for advance notice of the date of the state anticipates calling Mr. Arnold is in no way a suggestion that he will not abide by the terms of his negotiated plea. He intends to comply with the terms of his plea, just as I hope you will comply with our agreement that you would provide me with advance notice of the date of his testimony. It's so subtle and sharp. While I have not followed the proceedings closely, I understand that the state recently has sought material witness warrants for certain witnesses, and my belief is that the state has done so without legal authority. So now she's going to challenge the legal authority behind the arrest of Quindarius Zachary. I believe the state's arrest of Quindarius Zachary on September 16th, 2024 constituted a false arrest and would give rise to civil action against you and others who effectuated this arrest. The order your office presented for Judge Whitaker to sign references an application for an arrest warrant for a material witness with a criminal offense of OCGA 17-7-90. That statute, however, does not apply to witnesses, but only applies to criminal defendants and whether they appear for their own cases. For these reasons, I'm writing proactively to ensure you do not improperly seek a material witness warrant for Mr. Arnold. If you do, we intend to seek all remedies under the law as I outlined below. This is don't play with fire.
Yeah, this is not Mr. Wright. This is not the other one. You're dealing with Miss Merchant here. Miss Merchant is one of the top attorneys in Georgia. She is single-handedly almost on the verge of ruining Fani Willie's career with the disqualification case. With their...
And even just the request for records is one thing. Even if you have no interest in the disqualification or the Trump RICO, I can imagine the records request being a big issue.
Oh, definitely. Because the DA's office is now more or less denying every open act request that involves something that might
look bad. Which is probably voluminous. Shout out to Miss Merchant.
Yeah, even if Fani Willis wins this election and the next, she will retire one day, and the next one, sooner or later, someone will look at those records or look at the absence of records, deletion of records. Said it will be too late for many people, but she can't hide. It's all out there. And it's infuriating that she gets away with it.
Oh, man. It's just so much. And I'm glad we got to see this letter. Because when we first heard an inkling, like the first time one of the correspondents was mentioned, we were all like, oh, we wish we could read it. Well, here it is. And I imagine that the first one was probably a little bit nicer. And this is nice. This is very nice. This is like the nicest way I think you could say what you're saying here. Like, basically, I'm going to rely on Elizabeth right here. Thank you for the super chat. Says, Ashleigh said, F around and find out. And this is like the nicest way you could possibly say that while saying that and meaning it. Oh, shout out to, that's an art form to be able to do that with words. It's so good. And thank you, Elizabeth. So she says this is, if she needs to seek remedies, this is what she's outlining below that she'll do. As I'm sure you understand, there is no mechanism to obtain a, quote, material witness warrant for an in-state witness. But the state recently has sought such warrants for in-state witnesses. And now this is plural. Material witness warrants are permitted in two instances. First, pursuant to OCGA 17-7-25, attendance of witnesses, a court of inquiry shall have the same power to compel the attendance of witnesses as in other criminal cases, as set forth in and subject to all the provisions of Chapter 13 of Title 24, at any location where the court shall conduct a hearing, provided that notice is given at least 24 hours prior to the hearing. A court of inquiry may order the arrest of witnesses if required to compel their attendance. OCGA 17-7-20 explains that a court of inquiry is a court with the criminal jurisdiction of a magistrate to examine an accusation against a person legally arrested and brought before him or her. These provisions clearly do not provide for the issuance of a material witness warrant before a superior court conducting a criminal trial. So, he's a witness, he's not out of state, and he hasn't already failed to show up. There wasn't this 24-hour notice to appear window. So Ashleigh's going to break this down. The second instance that a material witness warrant may be issued is when a witness is from without the state pursuant to Uniform Act to secure attendance of witnesses from without the state. As Mr. Arnold is not a witness from without the state, this provision also does not provide for the issuance of a material witness warrant for my client, Mr. Arnold. While the court retains the power to compel the attendance of witnesses, that power is enforced by attachment for contempt and not a material witness warrant. OCGA 24-13-26. Subpoenas are enforceable by attachment for contempt and by a fine not exceeding $300 and or imprisonment not exceeding 20 days. In all enforcement cases, the court will consider whether under the circumstances of each case, the subpoena was served within a reasonable time, but in any event, not less than 24 hours prior to the time that the witness's appearance was required. So, it seems like whatever Ashleigh Merchant's able to be aware of, if she's saying all of this, it seems like whatever was in that affidavit, that this process was not followed for Quindarius Zachary, let alone whatever other material witnesses she might be referencing by this plurality here.
Yeah, and poor Miss Bennett, who they jailed, was this the same? Because she actually did not miss. She did not show up.
She simply suggested she wasn't thrilled to have to be subpoenaed.
Yeah, and who would be thrilled after being haunted by the prosecution and allegedly harassed in a bad way by one of the investigators, who, by the way, is still employed by the DA's office, who contacted her privately.
You did a great rewind on that too.
Yeah,
a few days ago.
That pissed me off to no end.
Right? As if it was the first time all over again.
Yeah, I mean, I was equally mad the first time. And my thoughts of that situation did not improve with the second watch of the thing.
In the chat, guys, is Nick's rewind. It's titled Young Thug Rico Trial Rewind when Miss Love had a victim jailed. I can't read the rest. Arrested. So when Miss Love had a victim arrested on Nick's channel there. Great rewind, especially if you've never seen her testimony in the first place.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I did that rewind, because more and more people get an interest in this trial, and now they are getting into when Judge Whittaker is here, which is a completely different trial from when Judge Glanville was in charge. And I understand people saying that Judge Whittaker is bad and all of that. Her hands are so tied. And
and remember, if we granted Harvey's motion, that would have been without prejudice. So we would just be back at day one, jury selection.
Yeah. I am on the fence about I believe she knows there are reasons for a mistrial with prejudice, but for her own career as well, she needs it to be flawless for her. Because politically, doing this, because Fani Willis won by a landslide last time. She will sadly probably win this election too. So she has.
I think honeymoon syndrome is strong. I think it's really a powerful thing to think someone's finally going to change the things you already have an issue with, and then it takes time you have to give someone a chance to be able to make change, right?
Yeah.
And then once you feel like time's going on, you're like, well, is it their fault? Is it something else? So honeymoon syndrome is a real thing. But I think with this,
yeah, and I understand. We bring a lot of awareness about this. I mean, combined through all of our streams and videos, we have hundreds of thousands of people watching us. Between me, Kat, lead attorney, everybody. But Atlanta is a big city.
Crystal wants you to say Georgia again.
Georgia.
Yeah, we like the way you say it.
Oh, thank you.
And then Dolly Talk also says, "Why, hello, strangers. Who is the Viking fella?"
Hi, Dolly.
Love Dolly. Good to see Dolly. He said, "Who is the Viking?"
Hey, Dolly. What you got? No. I mean, Atlanta is a very, very big town with a huge problem with criminality. There's no way to get around that fact. And most people in Atlanta don't give two shits in a straw about YouTube. They might read the papers. Now, they might have gotten an opened their eyes somewhat when Judge Glanville got recused. But most people don't care about this trial. They care about what's been said in the news. And in news, there's Fani doing her speeches. And she is quite convincing if you don't know about all of her misconduct. I mean,
yeah, I think she's like her oration skills are like charismatic.
Yeah.
And they might make me cringe personally, but I can see, I only feel that way because I feel like I've looked at stuff that was going on and found the mismatch. But if you aren't aware of the thing that would create the mismatch, it's easy to see why you would say that's strong oration.
Yeah. For instance, you made a stream a few days ago about when she asked for more money. And she did really, really good arguments. And that are the press releases that came out at the time. They don't know that 98% are unaccounted for. They don't know that because who's going to tell them? A lawyer? But we all know how defense lawyers are dishonest. That's still the general opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds good on its face. It's convincing on its case. And it's just like, so you want to agree with the sentiments. You want to agree with the things that are the reasons given. Like, yeah, we want to fix these problems. We need more money to fix these problems. Heck yeah, that sounds like let's do it. And then it's like, well, pause. You're already given money. Where'd it go? Like, actually, where did it go? I think this is a great point too. Elizabeth Wright here is saying, let's not miss that Ashleigh Merchant is also calling out Paige for signing the warrant. And what is so skillful of Ashleigh Merchant here is she doesn't have standing to really challenge that directly, but she has the standing to preemptively say, don't do this to my client, and reference it as the why of why she's writing this on behalf of her client. So it's like she found a way to stick up for the rights of a client that she's not representing indirectly, which I think is, that's very artful. Let's see. Where were we? I don't remember where I was. We did the second instance. I think this one. So while the court retains the power to compel the attendance of witnesses, that power is enforced by I think I read this, but we'll read it again. Sorry. By attachment for contempt and not a material witness warrant. Subpoenas are enforceable by attaching for contempt and by a fine of not exceeding $300 and or imprisonment not exceeding 20 days. In all enforcement cases, the court will consider whether under the circumstances of each case, the subpoena was served within a reasonable time, but in any event, not less than 24 hours prior to the time that the witness appearance was required. So clearly, the state has no power to seek a material witness warrant for an in-state witness at a trial before a superior court judge. The only power the state has to compel the attendance of a witness is contained in OCGA 24-13-26, which is not applicable at this time, since Mr. Arnold is willing to appear even without a subpoena. So while district attorneys typically enjoy immunity, and this is where we get to case law, for acts undertaken in connection with their court-related duties, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals recently denied absolute prosecutorial immunity, which is that's a rarity. That's a rarity. It's not very, at least I like to read stuff like this. I like to look for instances where somebody somewhere, some court somewhere pokes a hole in the blanket of prosecutorial immunity, really any kind of immunity, judicial or for police officers. So to see this is awesome in and of itself. So the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals recently denied absolute prosecutorial immunity for a Fulton County District Attorney who obtained a material witness warrant for a witness and then failed to recall the warrants after that witness testified. This is Cass versus Fulton County, and that was 2022. So I think this might have been through Paul Howard, right? Because this date would be the appeal decision.
Now, I've seen on Twitter people making the argument this is the Cass case does not apply to this one. No, but Ms. Merchant is doing two separate arguments. The first cases she cites is about how you cannot make material witness in this, like they did to Mr. Zachary. And the second case here, the Cass case, is about if you do and you do it wrongly, then you don't necessarily have the immunity you think you have. So it's two different legal arguments.
Now, that was a great conversation, and I don't know how to say her name, but I think it's Ike. And I followed her for a while for insights on several subjects, and it becomes a really great discussion with multiple people. So I'm going to link to one of the threads here on the discussion that Nick is referring to on the Cass case. And you'll see Ashleigh Merchant in there. You'll see some other faces that might be familiar to you if you're on X a lot. And you might have to click around when you see there's more than one reply. You might have to click that to look at the additional replies. But great conversation between lawyers looking at this case. And really the misunderstanding was that this paragraph at the top of the page we're looking at now was a separate argument, right? The original poster in the thread that I'm linking to attaches this to the argument that we just read on the previous page, when really it's a separate, Ashleigh Merchant's only relying on Cass for this one issue. But yeah, so the court ends up holding that the arrest and confinement of the witness had nothing to do with conducting a prosecution for the state. Because remember, you only receive the benefits of prosecutorial immunity, or you're supposed to only receive those benefits while you're doing advocacy in your role as a prosecutor. So here, the court finds that this behavior, this action, is not being conducted while you're wearing your prosecutor hat. This act of confinement was, you were playing a different role when you decided to arrest and confine this witness. So the district attorney did not have to engage in advocacy to initiate the warrant's recall, but only needed to notify the judge. Therefore, the district attorney did not have immunity for the false arrest and confinement of this witness under a material witness warrant. If you choose to ignore the foregoing law and seek a material witness warrant for Mr. Arnold, we are putting you on notice of our intent to pursue all remedies provided for false arrest and confinement as outlined in the Cass decision. We truly hope that is not necessary. And I think going back to what Elizabeth Wright pointed out in the chat, this is also like a big pointing out to Whitaker, right? Like, make sure they don't try to play you and don't rule based on what they're telling you without at least considering this first, because it won't be the right move. And we're going to fight to reverse it if that happens. I wish again to make clear that Mr. Arnold intends to comply with his obligations under his plea agreement, which included his rights against self-incrimination under the Fifth Amendment and the right to have me present in the courtroom with him when he is questioned by the state. Because remember, Martinez Arnold, also known as Duke, he can invoke his Fifth Amendment, he can invoke his right against self-incrimination, and he also didn't stipulate, he's not agreeing that he has to testify that YSL is a gang. So he has sort of like a unique plea agreement, special conditions, probably because his attorney's Ashleigh Merchant.
Yeah, it's almost as she foresaw this situation and made good plea agreements. Now, I know that some of the later plea agreements that was done very late before this trial started were happening without that. They don't even have to testify. The last couple of 2 or 3 plea agreements made. That's why they're not on the state's witness list.
Agreed. Yeah, as we know, the ones that they did call, in a lot of our opinions, were a bit disastrous. So.
Yeah, in my opinion, they didn't really help the state's case.
No.
I had a lot of fun with when Woody was on the stand, especially when he did that. Oh, go away from me! Against Miss Houston.
Yeah.
They're like, something smells here.
I have to watch Walter Murphy again, but I enjoyed Trontavia Stevens on the stand too.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
they all had their moments.
I agree. What a witness list. What more is in store for us? So then Ashleigh goes on here to just say, I'm going to reiterate that Mr. Arnold intends to comply with his obligations under his plea agreement, which included his rights against self-incrimination under the Fifth Amendment and the right to have me present in the courtroom with him when he is questioned by the state. I am simply requesting that the state, as it agreed to do, provide me with advance notice for his testimony and honor his privilege against self-incrimination.
Yeah,
She's laying it down.
Yeah, this means also that the state can't give him immunity because they already agreed that he kept his Fifth Amendment. Yeah,
beautiful.
So that option is gone.
They need the reminder.
Yeah, and also Judge Whittaker needed this, so she wouldn't sign any.
We don't know what happened before me.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. This is like, I'm telling you, this is like the kindest way to give the F around and find out message.
Yeah.
Like, I could never write like this.
Yeah,
I would slip up and be a little snarky.
Yeah, I mean, I have written more than one letter in my life to opposing party, and I'm extremely technical in my writing. I rarely do the snark I do on stream. Rarely. It has happened, but the snark here. By the way, folks, have you seen the ultimate snark yet?
Oh, the Doug Weinstein footnote?
No. In this very letter. Look at what she calls the people in the CC, and then go up and look how she addresses Miss Love.
Okay, wait, let me go back to the first page because I forgot I'm not in a document. Oh, Miss Love. It's just Miss Love.
Dear Miss Love. No honorable whatsoever. And above that, Miss Adrian
and above
Love.
Here, Miss Love, too.
Miss Adrian Love, Assistant District Attorney. She is Chief Assistant District Attorney. All the snark. All the snark.
Oop. Love it. Though we have not been able to talk about this in person given our schedules, I hope this clarifies my position regarding Mr. Arnold's testimony, and I look forward to your anticipated cooperation. Yours truly, Ashleigh Merchant, and then signed and CC'd to all of the known defense attorneys, and then also Simone Hilton and Adam and the judge.
Yeah, all of them are honorable. But not Miss Love.
Love it. Honestly, love that. And guys, if you want to read this letter, well, let me back out of this so I can get Thugger Daily's link. The Honorable Thugger Daily. We'll get that there. And then...
Yeah, in Thugger Daily's link tree is amazing because there he has every document that he tweets, which is a great source for original documents.
Yeah, I love Thugger Daily. Like, what a great way to be able to get a recap of each day of trial. And I've also relied, like, sometimes when I'm trying to look back and figure out what day something was, I can just search Thugger Daily's tweets and look for a keyword. Like, when I was looking for, random example, like, let's say, like, I'm looking for something from Detective Dennis. I can search all tweets from Thugger Daily that mentioned Dennis, and it'll tell me that day, whatever was those days. So, did we lose Nick?
No, I'm here. I accidentally opened a bookmark on the wrong, because I got from Olive all the bookmarks and who testified on what day?
Oh, the spreadsheet? I think
Yeah.
there's a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah, it's YSL trial link list view from Olive Snowdrop. And she has every... I will post the link in the private chat because I'm not sure if she wants it public.
Okay. I think, let me see if it's the one. I don't think this is the one I saw, but there are 2 on X that were floating around that I'll find and reshare. I retweeted them a long time ago. But yeah. So chat, hold your horses. I'll figure that out. I have to go back and find the two different people were like crowdsourcing a way to organize witnesses and documents, and that would be another thing I can go back and find and reshare so it's new on the timeline. Probably not going to find that now because it'll take me a while to do the deep dive. And then Nick, did you see that Vince here says great coverage, found you from Nick? So look, the hybrid gang works both ways.
Yay!
And then also, I do want to like acknowledge some of these. We have one other thing I want to talk about, and that is the Memorandum of Law by Leah Abbasi.
Oh, that's a good one.
And that was short,
too.
you guys, but it was great. It was great. I think it was short. It was like 3 pages, I think. Yeah, it looks like 3 pages. So, or 2, and maybe I'm just missing something in the middle of it. Let me pull it up. I have so many tabs open.
Yeah, I know what
the
you mean.
tabs. I need like a tool for streaming that just like knows when to close a tab when you don't need it anymore. I'm not sure if this was the full thing from Thugger Daily because it looks like it's missing. Oh, wait, okay. He posted it after as a full link. Okay, so it's like 8 pages. So we'll do that. I do want to take the time. You guys are being so generous today. And you don't have to be. I would do this for free, but it is very appreciated. Elizabeth Wright says, what train wreck is next? So, I don't know. I mean, it seems like we're going to be going through some of the Rodalius Ryan stuff when the jury's back. Well, I guess they're prepping, but they still have some other stuff to get through before they bring up whatever detective.
Yeah,
Vivarito?
They got through so much on Friday because... And I had a flare-up in my arthritis, so I couldn't do anything because I had to pop the big pills. And those make me stupid and sleepy. You don't want me on stream stupid and sleepy.
Yeah, we like your energetic reactions. Your rants and bants.
Oh, by the way, this onesie. Did you know what I discovered the other day?
It has a paddle tail?
Yeah. I didn't know.
Wait, that was really the answer? You didn't know that it had the tail?
No, I had no idea. It's behind me. I can barely... I noticed when I turned around really fast and I knocked something over and I looked around for Mr. Jingles and then, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then, oh, I have a tail.
I love it. It like brings it all together. It's like the important part. That and the teeth, the little 2 teeth that are on the hat. Buck teeth. Yeah, that's what makes it all what it needs to be. Plus, I love that Bucky also has a hat. So when you wear a hat and you're wearing a Bucky onesie, you have 2 hats. And you guys, there were a ton of great comments in relation to the email from the Kindly from Germany and the Fonnie Willis response. Miss Love's disappointed father says, plot twist, it was Whitaker who sent the email. I usually throw those things away or ignore them. Hilarious.
No. Amazingly, a person in my local convenience store, I was just paying for food, and she told me that she thought that the Georgia Rico needed some rearrangements. So
oh my God.
Even here in Sweden, they talk about it.
Specifically, unprompted too. You just walked in there in a Buc-ee's onesie, and rather than mentioning that you're wearing a Buc-ee's onesie, they just started talking about the Rico statute. GV says, Fadi's more spelling mistakes than me, and English is my third language. It felt like listening to Love through a screen because Love would never fill the page. You know, some of me wonders if it was just being typed on a phone, but what a long email response to type on a phone. So I don't know. Either way, it's kind of like, all right.
Yeah, but I've been looking into more and more, especially after, not more and more, but after your previous guest mentioned it. There are quite a few similarities between the two emails, how they are structured in the same kind of paragraph way, almost as a legal document. Yeah, but I do have a program which I used when I worked in the European Parliament, when I compared documents with each other to notice if changes has been made. And that is also good because it recognizes popular phrases from people. For instance, if I have a known writer of documents at the opposing party, then I can compare it with other documents. Okay, what else has that person written? That way I know that way I know who is the main writer of the documents and who is the person, if that is also the person arguing against me.
Yeah, so, I was gonna say, you can notice like the honorable had a U in it, and then also like some word that normally would have a Z in American English had like the UK stylized S instead of the Z. So to me, like, but you could feign those consistencies, right? You could write as if I put U's in favorite, color, honorable, because when I was growing up, I used to play an online MMORPG that was based out of England called RuneScape. So a lot of my socialization when I was younger was online with people that use UK spelling. So it's like first nature to me to use U in color and favorite, which people think is like, why are you spelling it wrong? It's like, sorry. I know it's like technically wrong.
Technically, England is the original language. Hi. I'm Casper.
Shout out to Casper. I think it looks nicer with the U. I think color looks nicer with U in it.
Yeah. For instance, labor. When you talk about work labor. Yeah. So I had to change my spelling from pregnancy labor to your labor, because it's different spellings, but in the US, if I spell it wrong, it means ejecting.
I love this too. Yeah, that says talking in the third person like she's the Rock, elected DA. And that's consistent for her too. Like that's consistent across her speaking too, not just her writing, using the third party. And to me, that's not endearing. It's just not something I think is endearing.
What's that artist who she was popular 10-15 years ago? She did that, and it was so unnerving. I didn't even listen to her music.
Okay, that would probably be the assist on this one.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Like a female singer, a lady singer?
Yeah, something like that. She talked about herself in third person, and then she made up sounds and words. What's her name?
Lady Gaga?
No.
Made up sounds.
Yeah, she did all that stuff. Yeah. No, not Adele.
I don't know. Everybody guess wrong answers only.
Beatles. No.
Oh my gosh.
So it could be longer because 10 years ago is still recent for me. So it might have been longer ago when I say it's longer ago.
Because when I said Lady Gaga, I thought she had the one song where she's like rah rah Gaga, like she put her name in the like she was doing like onomatopoeia for like the intro of a song, and like also put her name in it as one of the sounds. So I don't know. Was it like an artistic persona? Grimes, Adele, Ella Fitzgerald,
No.
Janet Jackson, Nicki Minaj, maybe. She had a persona,
Yep.
like a
No, there it is. Cardi B.
Roman.
Cardi B.
Cardi B.
Yeah.
She
Thank
spoke
you,
about
Resins.
she spoke about herself. I'm so like challenged with somewhat recent music.
Somebody saying Sia. I have no idea who that is.
She
not young.
performed a
It's
lot
not
with
Young
the
Thug.
masks. Not Young Thug. Well, I said wrong answers only.
Yeah, okay. Björk. No, it's not Björk.
Oh man. Also, yeah, that says Memphis quite literally has Rico. Fani's a comedian. Like, that's the thing. Like, it would be better if that wasn't real. And like, someone pointed out, like, do we really think this is real? And then I was like, well, they said it was emotion, and Doug said it had a Sir story. So I think it is real. And then when someone posted the screenshot, Doug requoted it and said, that's the Sir story, talking about the Uber story. So it's real. Like that, it's real.
Yeah. And I don't, if you're going, at least if you're going to lie, at least fact check it. I mean, this is one of these stories when, oh, I did that on the subway and then everybody stood up and applauded me.
Right,
Never
I
happened.
would have just left that part out of the story. If it was a real story, I would have just left the Memphis part out. Or the Memphis statute Rico thing out. I could have said, I'm from Memphis and there's a lot of crime. I like what you guys are doing in Fulton County with the Rico case. Like, you can at least, you don't need to tell every part of the story.
Yeah, because if this guy or girl is real, then that person is knowledgeable enough to know about Rico. That person is from Memphis and should then also have knowledge about Rico in Memphis. Because there has been quite a few cases
recently with
we gang Rico, but that was a federal case, but it was in Memphis, which is also
it's
quite.
It would be in news headlines.
Yeah, it was back in March or April, I think. And
subpoena the Uber driver.
Subpoena the Uber driver. Subpoena that friend, because who believes that? Fonnie Willis has friends. She has colleagues, not friends. It's all so improbable. It's too embellishing.
And she said it was a random story, like
random, And then again, she did make some factual acknowledgement. That is that she gets 100 of each per day. Those should be on in the public records, because
I do think that they'll say 100 is a figure of speech, but there's still an implication that there's some volume of correspondence coming in. So now you've told us that there's a volume.
Yeah.
And again, if there's a volume, you're choosing to respond to this person from Germany, allegedly from Germany, and not your constituents. So it's like either option, I have a critique for it either way.
Yeah. And since she replied to it, then it is also part of public record. So those emails should be available under the Public Records Act, whatever it's called.
What if she starts doing like a story time every night? She writes one encouraging reply letter to someone emailing criticizing Miss Love. Like, dear Miss Love, every night there's a bedtime story.
Yeah. But this original letter, I wasn't clear if that was sent to everybody, including the defense lawyers, or just the district attorney's office, or the district attorney's office and the judge. I'm not entirely sure.
See, I'm gonna listen closely when I play it. because I only caught the clip, but I know Whitaker was like, I normally throw those things out or ignore them or whatever. So to me, there was at least some room to assume that the judge received it initially as well.
Yeah.
But and still, a reply all is still something you have to choose to do.
Yeah. So...
And I double check when I don't want things to go. I check like 3 times that I'm not sending it to everybody. So if I was in a public position, I feel like I would check 5 times.
Yeah, and that email should have an IP address that tells us if there is a person from Germany. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I heard it, Clarence, is that the original email went to the judge as well. And that's true. So Dub Rightside says, missed the Friday night show, but always great to see Kat and Nick too. This is like the Plan B.
Yeah, Plan B, because I didn't have a show yesterday.
Well, this works out really good then. And we got to do the Buckies. I did say I wanted to do it as a panel show reveal, which this sort of became.
Yeah, and I do think we are up for the next one, but I don't want more of that one. I'm going to let the audience choose which of the jugs. You have the tequila or the whiskey. I like them both, actually.
I didn't. The pickle thing was whiskey? Could stick with the whiskey.
No. Oh, okay. Stick with the whiskey. Yeah. Not the wicked pickle.
Well, listen, adding tequila in the mix. I like tequila, but adding tequila in after you've done not tequila. No bueno.
Mixing could be bad for you. But then again, I don't think this is real whiskey. It's spicy pickle flavored whiskey, so it's some kind of blend that was too bad to sell of its own, so they added pickle juice to it. Who the frick does that?
Oh man. Hold on. I should read this before you take the shot because you'll laugh. Some guy with cancer, which is not what we're laughing at. We're laughing at his comment. So shout out in a kind way to the name. The comment says, I was an Uber in Memphis and the driver told me the Fulton County DA is a clown and so are her prosecutors. Everybody needs to have their own made up like Uber YSL story now. Or Lyft. Boop.
Now, if you're wondering if you joined late or anything and wonder, why is Nick doing this? Well, it is Kat needs some kind of power charger thingy, and I linked her or told what it was. One of these 800 watts that you just plug your stuff into and it holds for a good number of hours. And that particular one I linked to was $7.99, but there is a $4.99 version as well. And I do believe we are up to almost half. Now we still have to count. We still have to count in.
Thinking that my brother might have a solution. I'm sure Amazon. He'll probably say Amazon anyway, but you know he does esports. So they have a ton of backup power generators because you can't have a power flicker in the middle of a championship match or anything like that.
Yeah, but this one is one that you just charge from your usual wire, just so you have a fully charged one with 800 watts, and I don't know the watt hour to it. But it's used by those who drive around in vans and as backup power. Yeah. And you can apply solar thingies to it as well.
Yeah, I'm going to ask because not for nothing, like replacing the stuff in my fridge was like, my freezer was pretty much completely frozen still, but I rent, the fridge came with the unit and it's an older fridge and the seals on the fridge are horrible. So as soon as the power went out, it's like, you don't have much time before it is no longer cold in the fridge. So And of course, I had just gone grocery shopping before. I didn't really hear about the Milton coming across the state until like 2.5 days before. So from you guys in the chat.
Now I don't need one of those because I have a diesel generator and because I live on a farm. And anybody tries to tell me you can't use it, it sounds too much.
Yeah,
I don't care. I have 100 yards to that neighbor and 150 yards to that neighbor. I don't care, and neither do they. Now, and the reason I'm doing shots is because I said for each $100 that comes in today, I'm taking a shot.
I love it. And you guys have been extremely generous. Big thank you to Dee for dropping the 100 bomb earlier. Like, incredibly generous. All for the benefit of having Nick take a shot like you just saw. And then you guys like super appreciate it. And it is so great to see everybody. You know, the D Life's Jenny D says, love your channel so much. #real1. It is so nice to be back live. I was like, I'm going to do this in the morning. I'm like, no, I'm going to do it tonight. It'll be more fun this way. Saturday night live, if you will. Raymond Rohr said, the number you can trust is 3. 2 prosecutors already quit. Love will be the 3rd. Interesting. I feel like she'll go down with the ship.
Love.
Unless she has another opportunity pick up, because you know this trial is so long that's an odd.
Yeah, but I mean, what she'd up until this trial, she was a normal prosecutor. She tried a bunch of cases, but I believe somebody saw her salary up until 2022, and it was like $67,000 a year. And for a prosecutor, that's not much. And all of a sudden, she got $100,000 raise to $170,000 a year once she was picked to prosecute this very case.
Well, and then it's like salary. So obviously we're not going to do the stuff we're supposed to do before the next court day unless the judge gives us a study hall time in the court.
Yeah.
Even though we claim to be an advocate for victims, which maybe we shouldn't be claiming that as a prosecutor. You know, I think advocacy is going above and beyond your basic duties. Like, you can imagine those defense attorneys who aren't getting paid extra. I mean, some probably do billable hours, but a lot are probably putting work in off the clock, if you will, outside of billable hours, out of like a vigorous advocacy and passion for what they're doing to represent their clients. And I don't think you have that from this DA's office, even though you're hearing Love use phrases like advocate for victims.
Yeah, she don't give 2 shits on a straw about victims. Oops, sorry. And I base that on the other cases I have covered and found out about. You have the 2017 to 2019 case with Shane Kendall, who she sent to jail, and he died in jail. And then all the way back to 2012, Mr. Bradley, I want to say. Calvin Bradley, yes. Who she somehow managed to get a conviction out of, and he spent 5 years in prison before the appeals court first sent it down to the Superior Court again, and they just said, yeah, no, this isn't even a crime. And what Mr. Bradley did was a meth head got into a car after an argument with her boyfriend, sped down the street, turned a corner, and drove into a bunch of people. And he, as a security guard, he had his gun. So he fired 3 shots towards the car, killing her. Now, that is, according to Georgia statute, that is justified.
In defense of others.
Yeah, in defense of others. Because by God's grace, nobody was killed.
To me, it would be like, would you criminalize the person that, let's say somebody shot and, like Daryl Brooks, the Waukesha parade driver, would you bring a case against the person that stopped Daryl Brooks while he was driving? Like, that's kind of the parallel for me.
Yeah. And in her closing arguments in that 2012 case, she argued that his silence before and especially after was a sign of guilt.
And it's factually incorrect because he wasn't silent pre-arrest.
No, he
and you're not
wasn't.
supposed to make that argument either way.
No. And his lawyer, well, he changed lawyer, and the appeals court acknowledged that he had inefficiency of counsel. So they sent it back.
I mentioned Andrew Fleischman at the beginning of this. I said I really liked his tweet. He's the one that did the lift tweet. That was the appellate attorney, the attorney that appealed the case and then represented Kelvin Bradley when, you know, they brought the charges back, and he argued in front of the judge, and the judge was like, "Yeah, I agree. We're not doing this. Bye."
Yeah.
That was Andrew. I'll link to him again. I'll drop the link.
Now, I don't know who that original judge was, because the judge also has a responsibility towards the law. So even if a defense lawyer misses obvious things, the judge should go in and say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, which is why sometimes it bothers me that Judge Whitaker will seemingly coach the state within the bounds of judicial discretion when it could go reasonably the other way. You shouldn't be coaching to help someone move your needle for you. But when it's to keep the record clean, when there's an issue that this is really where we should land, and the council's having trouble making the argument to show why it should land here, but this is where it should land, there isn't anything wrong with the judge saying, like, hold on, we got to keep it in here. That's actually in the interest of justice.
Yeah. And that is why I like watching older trials, like 30-year-old trials. It's a different atmosphere. You don't have all these exceptions to hearsay. You have the respect from between attorneys and prosecutor. I don't know what happened the last 30 years, but something crucial has happened that obviously they should just make a blanket check and say every hearsay exception that has been accepted the last 20 years, gone. Let's start over, because it's getting ridiculous. In this trial, the other day, they had a wiretap where an unknown person allegedly said something to a person on the call, who then relayed that statement to the other person on that call. So it's third-hand hearsay. That is the nested hearsay they talked about, by the way. And even making that argument. Now, luckily, Whitaker went against it. That was Mr. Harvey's motion, I believe, and Harvey wasn't there either on Friday. So Mr. Steele walked up and
I know he took over and just said, "All right, I've got my case law. I'm still ready, even though it's not mine."
Yeah. So the judge could have waited. She could have.
And I think it's weird
she wanted
because
it done
the state
with.
gets time like that.
Yeah.
Harvey brought that issue up like what I feel like was an eternity ago.
Yeah.
And suddenly, like, today is the day, and I get that he was out Wednesday as well, so he was technically out for the 2 days she tried, but whatever.
But he was sick Wednesday, then Thursday was nothing, and then Friday was he had an appeals court, no, a federal case, and then on the afternoon he had a funeral, but I don't know what happened. Why, if he didn't tell the court, if he didn't, I don't know. But for Mr. Steele to just ad-lib the argument, because it was so obvious that the judge just wanted someone to say the right argument so she could deny it and move on. Yeah, so Friday was
even more
really
so
effective.
after hearing the wiretaps, when we're like, the multiple quays again, and like that was part of Harvey's issue, is like, which one are we talking about? So you're going through these other wiretaps coincidentally for Antonio Sumlin, and you have some of these same issues with nested hearsay coming up right on the eve of arguing this Bruce Harvey motion. And it's just kind of like, I think to some extent Whitaker's like, it's not just a nested hearsay issue, it's like the cumulative, like how many times can the jury hear something like this over and over, because the volume of it is going to be prejudicial, let alone each individual instance being problematic and or confusing.
So Friday was really Friday was really effective, and usually I think I can do a recap of a full day in maybe 3 hours, but they were really effective on Friday. They went through so much. So it was basically morning break, lunch break, afternoon break, and the rest was filled. So and the only reason...
Are they having court on Monday? Because I saw some people in the chat saying Whitaker wants to have court anyway, but isn't it a holiday?
She said they would see each other Monday, but Monday isn't that a national holiday?
Right? I think courts would just be closed. It wouldn't be
what
like
holiday is it on Monday, by the way?
It's Columbus Day, right? So, because she could have misspoke.
So
I don't know. But if they don't have it on Monday, I mean, it's a whole day to catch up on.
Columbus Day will be observed on Monday, October 14th in Georgia. Is Columbus Day
I would imagine
holiday in Georgia?
Closed.
Yes, it is a public holiday. No, in Columbus. What? Holidays in Georgia. Oh, yeah, not that Georgia, Google, not that Georgia, not the country, the state.
Maybe it's not federally observed anymore, but that's why she was saying, like, not on Friday, but a few days before that, we don't know about the jury coming back because it's still a school holiday, so they want to break down the more motion arguments or whatever and use up the day, but they didn't know if the jury would be back on the 14th because it's still like a school holiday.
Let's see here.
Okay, so there is no... Okay, wait, so...
Columbus Day is a state...
Yeah, no school
Columbus Day is a state... I'm looking into the State Board of Workers' Compensation, and they count Columbus Day as a state holiday. Pursuant to OCGA 1-4-1. Public and legal holidays.
Yes, I don't know. I mean, be prepared for court on Monday, I guess.
Be prepared, but it might not be.
We'll just all be lost and have nothing to do.
Yeah, I have to work because we don't celebrate Columbus because our ancestors was there before him by 450 years. And it's still not a holiday for us. Oh, they discovered a new landmass. Yeah, they did a few of those. And they didn't think it was India. And technically, Columbus never set foot on mainland USA.
Yeah, I'm going to go with be prepared for court on Monday. Possibly even with the jury then. I mean, I don't remember what all of that was about. Like, right, the jury might not be back till the 15th, someone was saying. I don't remember the exact date, but I thought there was, for some reason, it seemed like the jury might have off until Tuesday. But who knows? I don't know for sure because that was confusing. No one actually knew for sure there. And then also the end here, thank you again, Raymond. Raymond had said Fani's trying to keep Love from being the third to leave the office because it doesn't look good at election time.
Oh, yeah.
And I do agree. That's not great when you have everyone turn over at your office. Nobody likes working where they work, or they're having some issues that keep making them leave. Doesn't look good because that means your tax money is just going to churn.
If I had say I win on lottery, and I had the money, I would pay for a billboard counting how much this trial cost the taxpayer on a billboard in just outside the courthouse.
Yeah, but where are you going to get the data when they don't actually keep track of any of their accounting that they're supposed to keep track of?
Well, I did a rough estimate on lawyer math, but I believe if it's not $1 million a month, it's quite close to it. Because there are at least 5 district attorneys on this case, plus assistants, all their salaries. Judge's salary, the judge's clerk and staff, and the 7 security personnel. Then you have the cost for keeping these guys in jail. Then you have the cost of the actual having everything in the courthouse, all the papers. That is.
Well, is there really a cost if we're not paying the contractors?
Yeah, that's true.
There's always like an extra layer. There's never just a single consideration. It's never just a linear issue. It's always a, hey, they claim that there's not enough funding, and then they're not actually paying for the stuff that they are supposed to be paying for. So it never ends. It never ends.
Yeah. So, but well, with everybody's salaries combined, you are at least $500,000 a month. Counting in because then you have to drive them back and forth, and that is that's on the sheriff's office. That's a cost. Keeping them in jail, and everything is a cost in this. So if it isn't $1 million, it's not
billboard.
far off.
It'd be a great billboard, especially on a road with potholes or something.
Yeah.
Like you're driving over a pothole and then look up and see the billboard of how much this trial is costing.
Yeah.
I agree with Danielle's perspective here too. Danielle says, I think this was her attempt to give Love a pep talk because Love has been having a hard time with Judge cracking down on her and what the public has to say about her. And I'll say it again. She is sensitive. Love is sensitive. She takes personal offense to things that really shouldn't have any tie to personal offense. I can see why some stuff might feel personal, but she takes offense to like everything that there's any reach possible to feel personally offended by.
Miss Love seems to be of the opinion that she is the ultimate interpreter of law. So if anyone goes against her, she takes it as a personal insult. Which is, I've been wrong.
To see in a RICO trial.
Yeah, I've been wrong. I've been wrong lots of times. I will never admit to it to opposing party, but I can admit to it to you. Of course, I've been wrong, and I definitely not take the cases personal.
Yeah, and I think being personally invested in something, there's still a difference between like being personally invested, being passionate about what you're doing, and then also taking offense. It's one thing to get angry on behalf of the cause that you're fighting for. It's another to get angry because you just have thin skin. And when you're prosecuting a RICO and half your witnesses, you're asking them, are you scared of the person on the other side of the room? Are you scared to be here today? It doesn't land when you seem unnecessarily on edge and sensitive to everything.
Yeah.
Because now it just seems like you expect everybody to be weak and nimble and meek. And they always tell you no when you ask.
Yeah. And almost always they say, no, you are intimidating us. And the defense will definitely bring that up. That, remember Miss Bennett accusing the investigator. Remember every witness with a plea deal. So far, they more or less had to arrest to get there. But that might have been an illegal arrest. And also, Bruce Harvey has still to do his opening statements. He reserved the right to do that after the state's case in chief.
Love that.
Oh, that will be glorious because Bruce Harvey is so fed up with the prosecution. He's going to have words. He is so going to have words when he gets the chance to speak.
And I also think it's obviously going to be a break in the monotony to get an opening statement mid-trial after the state rests.
Yeah.
But I also think you don't hear that much from Bruce Harvey that the jury is going to be like, oh, it's the ponytail guy. What's he talking about? So there's two factors there that are just going to like make the jury sit up. Regardless of what it is he's actually saying, I think that will be a third factor that picks the ears up.
Yeah. And opening statements, the prosecution does not have the right to reply.
So Love just has to sit there and
she has to sit there by when Bruce Harvey. Now, his client is mentioned twice, I think, so he does have limitations. But he can talk about how you cannot watch all of this and think all of this applies to my client. It's these two objects. Damn you, Stephen.
Oh.
I should have.
Stephen, thank you. I didn't even know. I toggled over because you said, damn it, Stephen. I was like, what did Stephen say? Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. Stephen's going to get on the generator lecture. I want to get the battery pack style one because the HOA I don't think can really yell at me about that. So what's the problem? Plus, my brother will also be like, my brother loves to help. Guys, if you didn't know, I built the PC that I use. But really, like, my brother sat on the phone with me and walked me through it over the phone, like, without really being able to see what was going on. He's just so good at what he does with hardware and technology. He's just like, you're going to look for a thing that looks like this, and I could understand his instructions. So for me to understand his instructions means he was doing a really, really great job. So
yeah,
built that thing, and it powered on one try.
Yeah, I bought finished stuff. And then I had my nephew set it up. And then something happened. And I called him and I said, it doesn't work. Okay, what doesn't work? This doesn't work. And he said, oh, all you go open the side and look for this. And I'm like, look for something that looks like this. And I'm going to pay you $100 to go get here and fix it. Because, yeah, give me an engine, a tractor engine. Yeah. Computer? No. That.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like, and when I plugged it in, I was like, oh my gosh, if I didn't do something right, I'm gonna have to like explain to him working backwards. I'm not gonna do a good job at this. And plugged it in, the lights turned on, I was like, we built a computer. It was a great time. I gotta find it. I recorded it. I have a video of me building it. So I gotta find it. It's on my old laptop, obviously on an old device. But I should find that.
Yeah, do it as a members only. That's I did with my. I need to get Mr. Jingles over. Where is he?
Well, that and you need I mean, did you already sneak and do a shot while I was talking? Okay, sorry, I had the screen on the thing. So big thank you again to Stephen for the shot inspiration, the shot counter here. Thank you for the sacrifice on my behalf, Nick.
I mean, I'm not good at doing this thing on my own channel because I'm still Swedish. I was still brought up in a socialistic country. Don't believe you are anything. Don't believe you know anything and all of that. I'm growing out of it, but I'm having so much trouble endorsing myself financially. Now, luckily, people have been so generous.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah.
Like I always say, and I know you would too, like I do this for free. Like it's, it feels weird when I'm like not having a group to be able to have a conversation with. So like when I had no power, I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk about this and react to it with people. Like it becomes part of a thing. And then someone comes around and drops $100 saying, okay, Nick, time for another one. You're just like, it's just incredibly, it's humbling and hilarious all in the same vein. Like it feels so casual because Steven's he's like playing into the cause of Nick taking shots rather than making it seem like a Here, take my money.
Yeah, I mean, my latest video is almost at 10K views, and if my ad revenue, I'm roughly at $2.50 per 1,000 views, and that's $25 I didn't have yesterday.
Which one was that? Sorry, I don't
This
remember
the Ashleigh merchant.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the latest
Well, I'm just
video.
gonna link to your channel again because I was thinking not of the Bennett rewind, but you also did another rewind, and that's what I was thinking of. So
Another
rather
rewind?
than, I thought it was recently. I thought it was while my power was out. Maybe DK.
Let's see here.
Did you recently? No, not DK. I don't know. Maybe it was like when YouTube recommends an old video. But you guys, like, Nick has a million videos on YSL. And you should all be subscribing to him anyway.
Playlist on YSL is currently at 228.
Yeah, there you go. That's a lot of YSL content. That's more than trial days, so that's how you know you've got a lot of content.
Yeah, I have all the. But I started this with the pre-trial stuff, so yeah, I have most of. I didn't catch much of the jury selection because it was I did the interesting stuff when they had a juror write an essay, and another juror.
It wasn't funny, but it was funny, but it wasn't funny.
Yeah, and one actually had to stay the night in jail because he took a video of the other jurors, and what? That's incredibly stupid. There are easier ways to get out of jury duty than spending the night in jail. Let's just say that. So yeah.
Yeah. Almost as easy as standing up and saying you couldn't forget Kenneth Copeland's testimony, but they didn't catch it. I think they actually just want to do it for the long haul. And I couldn't explain why, except you're already invested in it. And you know, maybe if I was sitting on the jury pool, and again, I do.
Yeah,
I do contract work. I can be flexible. I can afford to do my day job work on a flexible schedule. So I could probably still sustain being busy 9 to 6. So it's a different question for me. But I'm curious about these people that said, you know, it wouldn't be hardship for a 3 to 6 month trial. I do wonder how that hardship question would be answered now.
Oh yeah.
Knowing that it's been more than 3 to 6 months.
But about a month ago they were talking about another juror that might accept the teacher who might accept a job out of county. I don't know what happened with her because they haven't addressed it since. So I don't know. Then you have, because I'm amazed there's only 2 apparently that is out. One for medical reasons and one because she actually moved out of state. And I'm amazed there aren't more.
I got caught up here because I saw Jim R is the happily angry lawyer on X. So shout out to the happily angry lawyer who happens to be Jim R. Jim R, you are a familiar face in this chat. Glad I can see that you are a happily angry lawyer based on how you comment in the chat. Good to know. Glad to have you here. And glad to have you on X. I always love great commentary on X. And it's hard, you guys, like when we're up here, like we really don't know. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of people that have the same name. But if you, especially if you have like a different name or a picture, I don't know unless you like make me know.
Now, I recognize most people in chat, but I do recognize some that I don't recognize. I have 4 shots of whiskey. Get off my case. My memory, and I'm old.
Well, your memory is really good. I'll say people are trying to get you up there. Like people are being super generous. Like Peter Ortiz very generously gifted 10 memberships. That's 10 new slimes in the chat. And I know you guys were saying thank you as they were rolling in. But with Peter, we always say you can drop the boom, the emoji, the explode emoji to thank Peter Ortiz. Super, super generous. And all these gifts are to the Nick Take a Shot Fund. So Vince gifted 1. Vince is out here sniping. Thank you so much, Vince. Dream said, look, I'm just going to become green myself. Thank you, Dream, for becoming a member. Love to see it.
Make the chat green.
Right? It's so good.
And Casper, a slow name change is best. Yes. I started out...
I love the formerly known as.
Yeah.
In the parentheses.
I started out as Nick Starrow Labor Law. Then I changed it to Nick Starrow Trial Watch. And now it's just, screw it. It's just Nick Starrow. Or Starov is the correct pronunciation. But I've been... Also, the more I speak in English, the more my pronunciation is in English, which infuriates my colleagues. Because I start to say their names with English pronunciations, which is interesting.
Okay. I think they should be more understanding and just like give a kind correction. I try to get names right, but I understand, and I hope people are understanding. Like, I will try to get it right if I can hear it.
Yeah. But I have to say, I'm so happy for my chat and my viewers, because back in April, I did a change in my schedule, which meant I did not have to work every 4th weekend anymore. So now I'm currently at a 7 to 3 schedule, which is amazing.
Chat. Why y'all want to get Nick wasted at 6 a.m.? Oh, shout out to GB.
It's weekend and I can sleep it off.
And just crazy. Then Steven was out here sniping, giving 1, 2, and then 10. So 12 more gifted memberships from Steven, which is super generous. And I love the 1x1 snipe. I really love it. It just seems like it's like intentional. Like, I mean to give a gift to the person that gets it, even though it's totally random. Hilarious. Oh. And then L. Allen says mods appreciation. You guys, just as a reminder, the mods for live streams, I do list any of the mods that we're willing to provide, like CashApp or PayPal. I do list them in the live stream descriptions. So just a friendly reminder there.
Yeah.
Sponsored by L. Allen.
Yeah. And I know there are some complaints about Casper being too harsh, but here's the thing.
Shout out to Casper.
Yeah, shout out to Casper. No.
YouTube goes bananas and flags a lot of comments, you guys.
Yeah.
We're not kidding when we tell you that YouTube is a little
overzealously. Yeah, they are too strict. And it is quite I notice it because I have some what you call it?
Uncouth.
Demonetized streams where I know I didn't curse, and then I look back at it and then I see the stream and I noticed, oh, Casper weren't here, and oh, that's an interesting word. Oh, repeated word, because
they detect what your commentary is about based on some of the stuff that's being discussed in the chat.
Yeah, sadly they do. So thank you,
shout
Casper.
Out to the mods. Shout out to the mods. It is not and like, I love that the chat loves the mods. We say mod love all the time, Malat. But it is not a, people really take it personal, but sometimes if your comment gets hidden, it's because YouTube prompts, they flagged the comment. And the mods are just hitting a hide button to keep whatever is being flagged from being shown. So.
Yeah. And on occasions I have to step in because some commentary on my channel has been really inflammatory. And I remember especially from, I believe it was February or March of this year, a person that has been on my channel since the very beginning, and I had to ban them. I gave them warnings, and I had to, because what they said would probably have gotten my channel in trouble. And that
sucks.
Yeah, that really sucks. And that was,
guys, it's not an easy position to be in, but
yeah,
it's like, and you also want to, it's not about YouTube like people get upset when a stream is gone. Have you guys ever gone to watch something and you see the stream is no longer up, and then you hear the creator had to take it down because YouTube had some kind of problem with it? So now you lose something that you wanted to actually be able to check out. Like, it sucks as an audience member too. But it sucks to have to be that person that, you know, maybe someone in the chat is kind of like being tense and it crosses the line of disrespect to somebody else in the chat, and you guys, like, the mods do a great job of giving people warnings. I think they do an incredible job in there, and I always want my chat to be somewhere where people are healthy. Happy, healthy, friendly, and not at each other's throats in a harsh way. Like, we can disagree constructively.
Mr. Jingles is here. I'm going to fetch him.
Sounds good to me. And guys, we will start reading this memorandum from Leah Abbasi. Thank you guys again for being so generous and for helping support Nick's Shot Fund. Army Nurse had said, glad to have you back. Was having withdrawals. Trust me, I felt lost too. It was like 2 days felt like forever. So many documents to read. Very interesting. Do you really think the letter's from Germany? To me, it doesn't matter if the email's actually from Germany or not. I'm stunned that Fani Willis apparently gets hundreds of emails a day and chose to reply all to that one. Like, I'm not going to get over that. So whether it's from Germany or not, I don't really have skin in that game to care one way or the other. Hey, Mr. Jingles.
Hey, please enjoy your new house.
There's 2 cats on the screen. So thank you very much, Army Nurse. And yeah, this was a very interesting week. It sucked to be like in the dark, kind of literally, while everything was going on. Natasha Roberge with the reminder earlier was really important, but thank you again for the super and reminding us that RICO's existed in Tennessee since 1989. It didn't just start up yesterday. It's not something that just started and people don't know about yet. It's been there. So kind of a dumb thing to have in your supposedly true motivational story. Thank you, Natasha. Kiri says, Kat, I'm in Memphis. Our issues is that they are releasing violent criminals with return on recognizance, ROR. Then they commit additional violent crimes, and it's a Democrat city. Shaking my head. And I think the platform of reducing mass incarceration is a great platform. But when you're reducing that mass incarceration by releasing violent criminals without maybe meeting the right factors or criteria for it, and then finding out that other types of crimes, or people without indictments at all, people that haven't even been indicted are sitting, it kind of dismantles the platform, what I think is the value of the platform. And again, I think a lot of voting comes down to the promises. And if you make a promise that we're going to reduce wasteful incarceration, and we see it play out in a different way, I mean, I wonder if that will change at the ballot box. And the change doesn't necessarily need to always be a different party. It could be a change in candidate from the same party that will actually work towards their platform promises. Because I really think reducing mass incarceration is a great platform. It's just a lot of the time it seems like all talk. Or it like jumps to the extreme and ignores the middle ground. So lots of discourse around that here. Thank you so much, Carrie, for the food for thought. Candace says, hey, Kat, good to see you. Good to see you, Candace. Always good to see you. It felt so weird being gone and missing the trial day. Mrs. R says, good evening, Kat. And this is when Dear Woke Christian was on, so DWC, mods, and the chat. Good to see you, Mrs. R. Thanks for being a member. Elizabeth Wright says, hit the like button. Let's get the likes up. That is right. It is free to hit the like button. Appreciate you for the reminder, Elizabeth. Ike said, Milton blew off Kat's cap. That's right. I had no hat coming on, and now we've got one to celebrate the Buckies matching. Glad you're okay. Thanks for checking in, Ike. Renee Stevenson says, Kat, missed you so much. So happy you're okay. And guys, we were fine. We lost power. We had it, you know, the tree, one of the 2 trees that I've been waiting to see fall since I moved here. One of them finally gave out during the storm. But it was away from anything that it didn't fall on anything important. It just fell on other trees, unfortunately. But yeah, other than that, we were good in our building. All of our vehicles are safe. So really, really feeling lucky for that. Definitely realize how much you miss the power when it's gone for a few days, though. Like, that was kind of... I was fine on day one, and as soon as I woke up the next day, I was like, all right, I'm over this. Like, it was like 24 hours was my limit.
I mean, when I grew up in 70s and 80s, I mean, over here, I believe it was in the early 90s when the government decided all electric power should be in the ground. So they started to dig down. So we lost all our, the free hanging electrical in the 90s. But in the 70s and 80s, power outs all the time. A thunderstorm. Okay, bring out the candles.
I think I liked it better. So when I was a kid, we never had air conditioning. And even as I got older, like my first cars never had air conditioning. And I think like having the power go out when you're not used to having air conditioning anyway, it's not a big difference. But now that, I'm working all the time, I have the AC cranked up. My current car has AC. It's the newest car, youngest car I've ever driven, a 2017. And I don't drive that much. That's still... I bought it pre-owned and it still hasn't hit 20K miles. So I don't really drive much. I drive to see my brother in Georgia and that's about it. Now that I'm used to having AC and the power went out, that I couldn't sleep. Like, it was so hard to sleep. So now I'm spoiled.
I'm trying to figure out here, because I drive a 2003 Saab. And it's currently at, let's see here, kilometers in miles, 35,000 miles.
Oh, that's nothing. Holy moly.
I believe.
I am impressed.
That is... I'm not entirely sure if that... Oh, am I... An American mile is 1.6 kilometers. I think I am a 0 off.
Okay, but either way, I think when a car lasts a while, I'm also impressed by it. And then when someone doesn't drive all that much, I'm also impressed to hear that as well. And then GV says, of course you drive, Saab.
Yeah. Well, my tractor isn't in functioning. You have seen my tractor, the picture of my tractor, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if I... Oh, darn it.
And also shout out to, and I want to get it right, I don't know if it's Shalia Green? Maybe it's Shelia. We're going to say Shalia until I hear otherwise. Nick wrote the email.
I'm not in Germany. I'm not in Germany. I promise. I promise.
You just switched the country quick so we wouldn't suspect you. And then Fonny, keep Memphis out your mouth. Leave Sledge alone because y'all have 2 different Georgia statutes on his plea. Right, yeah, they messed that part up. Like, first of all, get it right. Second of all, get it right, because you're wrong about the Memphis thing, and then you're wrong about the statute that you're citing. And then 3, if Nick... Not Nick writing the email. Oh my gosh. I mean, seriously though, someone wrote an email and... Fonny chooses to reply to them. Like, shout out to whoever, anyway.
I first thought it was Black Law Student, because I do know that he writes to different people in Georgia. But no. But I do believe he has written something to Fonny Willis, but more in legal terms. But I assume that's the reason she did not choose to reply to that one. Now, I did I found my Christmas tractor because it was a Christmas ornament last Christmas. I have it down here.
Shout out to Christmas ornaments. I like to have like a little tree with like Dragon Ball ornaments and then like random ornaments people have gifted me.
Yeah.
So I like Christmas ornaments.
Yeah, it's right there if you can pull it up.
Oh, sorry. My screen was like collapsed in a way that I couldn't see the fourth panel. Oh, it's so cute or handsome.
And you can barely see the license plate, and that's the big reason I bought it.
FCK.
FCK. It's my yeah.
That's a good time. That is a good time. Oh man.
Oh, you're real.
Also, big thank you. I see Steven T. Satchel. I see another one earlier on. He sniped somebody, and Natasha Roberge came right behind and gifted another one. So thank you to you both. You guys make sure if you got a gifted membership, you say thank you. Super awesome. You guys get access to fun channel emojis. I don't really do members only content because I'd rather just everyone be able to be here. But hey, if we all become members, then nobody will have to be left out. Just kidding. Just kidding. And then Trakisha came right behind them and gifted another one. Thank you. And good to see you. So when I was sitting in my car charging my phone one of the days, I like tried to jump in and watch on YouTube. And I saw Trakisha. I don't even know who was live. Jumped in some chat somewhere and saw Trakisha over there. So always good to see people, especially after being away from everybody for 2.5 days, 3 days. And then Lake Cleaver says, and the beat goes on. I mean, that could be the anthem of this case, really. Every day it just keeps going.
Oh, I got the real number here.
Of the mileage?
Yeah, 186.
That's impressive. One of my first cars, like, hit 200K and then pooped the bucket. It was like, yay! Oh, no. And not for me driving it. It had a lot on it when I got it. I had never paid more than $500 for a car for my first 3 cars. And then the one I have now. I luckily bought right before COVID and car prices surged. So I got lucky with that.
Yeah, car prices. Because if I have to turn my car in for the yearly government checkup. And it's yeah, it's a fight every year. It's a fight every year.
I love it. You guys are sharing your cars in the chat. Peter has a Porsche Cayenne.
Aw. I pity every time you have to change tires.
Oh.
Yeah, my next car will probably be something of the sort, a mini sub or something, because getting a hard time getting in and out of. Because 98% of my body is perfectly fine, but my knees are riddled with arthritis. So yeah. So I need something to. Oh, there you go. Thank you for your appearance,
to roll
Mr.
out in style.
Yeah, but I've been thinking it might be a Volvo SX60, probably a used one.
I'll say Retired Phoenix is slick here. So first of all, shout out to Retired Phoenix for gifting 5. But you see how we get the car picture in the mix too? Look at that as a subtle way. We're joining the car conversation here in the coolest way possible. Big thank you to Retired Phoenix for the 5. Love it. Guys, the other day it was awesome. People were changing, like, somebody that has their dog as a profile picture made a comment. I'm like, oh, I love to see the dog. And then the chat started changing their profile pictures to put their dog as their pictures. It was so cute. I loved every second of it.
Well, sometimes I use this.
You can't un-F a cluster F. I almost slipped up reading it. I almost slipped out. I almost got it.
And when I'm on Jeff's show, because I know this annoys him,
Wait, why does it annoy him? Because of the Bud Light saga?
Yeah.
Sorry, my eyes are bad and I have like my screen really small, so I just see I forget her name or Dylan.
Dylan, yeah.
Oh, Jeff. Shout out to Jeff.
And on
he
my
raids once in a while.
And on my storytelling channel, I have this one.
That looks like a storyteller, a Viking storyteller.
Yeah, I haven't posted that since before I went to the United States because I don't have the time and I feel a bit guilty. I have to read in a new old Scandinavian saga.
You
or
could
fairy
start
tale.
reading all these documents and letters instead
No.
of storytelling. You could read the Uber story in the Viking voice.
No, not on that channel. That channel is only Scandinavian sagas and fairy tales. And it's called Scandinavian Fairy Tales Sagas and something else.
Well, you know, Vince has a decent point, I think. From Germany, maybe military from Fulton County, so potentially a constituent. Could be.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly,
there might be an indication in the signature that we couldn't see.
Because Germany stopped with a comma, not a dot, if I remember correctly. So maybe she even removed some to make it anonymous.
Like to keep it anonymous salutation.
Yeah.
Yep. Good point. Because then it could be a constituent. Or it could be someone that went on vacation and is like the rest of us and can't stop watching the trial. So they're on vacation in Germany and they're still watching and writing letters about the trial. Oh, man. Because that would be us.
Let me check if I have any audience from Germany.
And Stephen T. Satchel about the Mounk plea says, I argue that the language of the agreement was over Sledge's head. As I said in my essay, contracts need to be understood by both parties. Yeah, and it's also not so good to add the layer on top of it where, you know, you have the attorney saying something to the effect of, I didn't read the final copy of the plea and things were snuck in. So you add that extra layer of if your counsel's supposed to be there to make sure that you understand, and then your counsel's kind of making it clear that they didn't look at the base material to relay you something to make sure you understood it in full. Kind of sounds like a problematic setup for a Mounk for Antonio Sledge.
Now, I do have one viewer from Germany, so it might be that one.
Which one are you? Hello. Who sent it in? One of us. And then also, good to see you, Survivor Speaks. Survivor Speaks said Ashleigh mentioned Quindarius Zachary and how his arrest was illegal. And that was right before we read that letter that Ashleigh Merchant had sent in. And I really still will say, I think it was so artful how she doesn't have standing to take issue with something on Quindarius Zachary's behalf directly, but she, like, wonderfully did it in an indirect way. Like, that was awesome to read. 10 out of 10. So, good to see you, Survivor Speaks. Danny in real life says, my family thinks I'm nuts for always singing the ABCs of Steel. I've played it in the car before. I'm not gonna lie. It's a good time. That was a Suno song.
Now I have a good comment here on Twitter from Erica, who said, this is so embarrassing. Let's also not forget she gave probation to men who committed murder, armed robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, all to try to get Thug, who has yet to be associated with any of it. As Woody said, they just wanted the big fish.
Big fish. Shout out to everyone on X raising their concerns about this trial. I think it's a different space than seeing it in a YouTube. Like, YouTube chats go away. YouTube comments, a lot of people watch videos without reading comments, but on X, I think it reaches a whole new audience.
Oh yeah. I mean, my links to my stuff rarely goes over 1,000 views. But for instance, the latest video I have almost at 10K views on YouTube. On Twitter, it has like 800. So yeah, not many come in from X, but I still post it. But that's, I believe that X, Twitter, they do hide when you post links.
Yeah. I have analytics that kind of suggest the opposite. I think, like, when I made this channel, it was just to upload, like, a transcript of an audio call, and I didn't have anyone. It was, like, a new account. I didn't brand it. I just shared it to X, and it had a bunch of direct hits. So they had to have come from the link shared on X, because I didn't share it anywhere else. That was back, like, Johnny Depp. It wasn't when the trial was happening. This was, like, 13 months ago. But it was like something that it was long lost. People didn't know how to go and replay it or had never heard it. They'd only read the transcript. But it was an important call because you can hear one of the wedding rings being thrown. So
Yeah.
like hearing the stuff in the call is different than the transcript. So I wanted to like dust off the archive and upload it with the transcription. And that got like 12,000 plays just because of it being shared on Twitter. So I don't think they really, but maybe people were intentionally looking for it and sharing it. So it got around the link, you know, and the reason that could be a thing is platforms, you could see why they don't want you leaving their platform to go do something else.
Yeah, and this was before it was bought. No, that was roughly around the time it was bought. And I know that Mr. Musk wants to do Twitter TV. It's in beta now, where people actually can search for and watch videos you post.
I wouldn't be opposed to that if their like chat and sharing was a bit better. I think it's kind of bulky to try to like chat on a live because it just ends up being like a reply. So if they fix that up, I think they'd be onto something.
Yeah, and I'm currently looking for something else than StreamYard because that is getting kind of expensive now.
Yeah,
when
like
they
4
were
times
bought.
the price.
Yeah, and I mean it's good, but it 4 times the usual charge. I mean, seriously, I have enough costs as it is with my channel. I don't need that one as well. But I've been checking out Rumble Studio, and it has promise, but it's still not on the level I want it to be. So
yeah, I'm a creature of habit, unfortunately.
yeah.
I'll try stuff, but like once I'm there, I gotta learn it and commit to it. So
yeah, and there is a way to get Rumble rants up on the screen, but I haven't learned it yet. And that is infuriating because I want to show the audience who is super chatting and interesting comments and everything. So that is probably the main reason why I stay so far at StreamYard.
You know, see, I think, guys, if you're thinking about streaming yourself, StreamYard, I think, is the easiest to, it's like kind of a no-fuss interface, and it's the easiest to, if you want to simulcast, stream with multiple people. I think they're the easiest to pop guests up on the screen and also allow, if you want to, them to share the stream to their audience. The other stuff, you have to do a little bit more customization for each display, whereas with StreamYard, they give us preset templates and make it easy to edit so we can like change the view of stuff like pretty easily.
Yeah.
So
and
the other stuff you have to like kind of finagle with it in advance and make sure you get the audio right and add the audio source for each video frame that you pull in. So
yeah, and you can do the cutouts directly in StreamYard. In Rumble and the others, you have to actually download everything, upload it on clipart or anything to then edit it, while you can do it directly in StreamYard.
And that IlKidJ, I like OBS. I use it a lot more for recording for other stuff because there's just a lot more functionality with it. I think it's intimidating to stream live with. My brother works in broadcast and it's second nature to him. He's got like 1 million custom scenes and overlays and he's like, why don't you just use that? And I'm like, because I would break things 30 times in the first 5 minutes of a stream. Like, the audio would
Yeah.
not be working. So
Yeah.
I think if you're comfortable with it, you're in a different position than me, where you might already like intuitively know how to maneuver things quickly and not interrupt the viewer experience, because I would be breaking stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I say
If
go for it, and if it doesn't work, use something that's a bit more beginner level, like StreamYard.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever reach the level that when I can hire someone to do all that boring stuff, yeah, OBS would probably be my choice, but I'm nowhere near that level. If I reach 4 times my current revenue, I might be thinking of going down to 50%. That's where I
was
am.
thinking of this right as we're talking about costs. These lawyers can't afford a Grammarly subscription.
No, but Miss Love apparently can afford AI legal help. Because somebody caught that screen on her laptop, and that is probably why it overheats all the time.
And shout out, I think it's Neek Neek, but maybe it's Nick Nick. But we're gonna say Neek Neek. So shout out to Neek Neek. Hilarious.
Oh.
And that's like something like I'm sure they could have Grammarly and it would be paid for.
Yeah, but even
or a
in
word processing doc, like, doesn't
you have
Microsoft Word still underline things for you?
yeah, and I'm even on the usual, you can just have that thing on. Yeah, you can have there's an add-on on Chrome where you can have it. There's an add-on on Firefox. It's an
Yeah,
add-on
like,
on
isn't there
Edge.
like a free Canva, right? You don't have to pay
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
Oh my
and they
god.
still
Well,
don't.
I don't have answers because they just don't care.
Mm.
And I am not the type of person to like. I actually like when there's a typo in a chat and I can still figure it out anyway. The reason I can still figure it out is because I make typos. Like, it's not the biggest deal in general in a casual setting. But when you're writing in legalese, something that can have an impact, or you're sending professional correspondence, just give it a once over at least. Just at least a once over.
Yeah, I mean it's not that hard. I mean, I use it on my documents all the time just to make sure I use the right grammar. And sometimes when I'm noticing I'm using the same word a few times too many, okay, what other word can I use? Because you don't want to repeat the same descriptive word all the time in a document.
Yeah, plus like spice up your language use in general, I think.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, it's 6:11 a.m. I need to do my walk around the property to make sure everything is all right.
Alrighty, and I gotta get to reading this memorandum as well, so
Yeah.
take us on a trip with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Always
And
a pleasure. It feels like a postponed a rain check on the Friday panel.
and thank you guys for getting us more than halfway to her generator.
Yeah, I can't wait to bug my brother. He's gonna have like 10 options ready to go for me.
Yeah. All right, but thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you even, before I created this channel and used to lurk your channel with another account, so.
Oh. It wasn't you I yeeted, was it? No.
No, no, no.
No.
I'll check, but I don't think so.
All right, folks. Thank you.
You guys give Nick a warm outro.
Yeah. And I see you all on the next stream or video. All right.
See you, Nick.
Bye-bye.
And then thank you so much. I'm behind on the chats because we've had guests up here, which is fine. But just want to make sure you guys know that I didn't miss your chats. I'm just late to getting to them. I'm slow. So big thank you to Mrs. R for the 5 with no comment. Very sweet of you. And then Renee had gifted 5 memberships. Love to see it. Good to see you, Renee. And I think Renee is still in here, so give Renee some love. Always love to see gifted memberships because it's something fun and nice for the chat as well. And then Nancy-Lot out here sniping one. Hello to my fellow Floridian. Nancy's been helping a lot of her Florida neighbors do some recovery and cleanup from Milton. So show Nancy-Lot some love in the chat. Very, very awesome person. Contributed one of our channel emojis. And also just an all-around kind person in the real world. So thank you so much for being generous by gifting a membership today. And for the work you've been doing over the last couple days with Hurricane Milton relief. Because, yeah, not a fun time, and I think a lot of people didn't expect the strength and trajectory of the storm. Viety says, love wasn't present on Friday, I'm assuming, because she was finding Rico, and then tag teaming. Peter Ortiz says, please let me know when we find Rico. Guys, I don't know. I don't know if we're ever going to get there. I don't know. Oh boy, Finding Nemo is a hilarious reference here, though. Thank you so much, Viety. And thank you to Peter Ortiz. Stephen T. Satchel, I think, did you gift another 10? You know, I like unstar the ones I go through so I don't mess up. So I'm assuming that this is incredibly generous. Steven gifted like 1,000,000 memberships. So big shout out to Steven. Like turning half the chat green. That might be hyperbolic, but not very hyperbolic. So thank you to Steven. Heart of Inspiration, good to see you. And Heart of Inspiration, I have to catch up with you because I've got to catch up with you now that I have my power back. Good to see you. Love is a Gemini to her core. She's going to be right even when she's wrong. And I see you did the eye roll emoji. And that's the thing, like, you're not going to pick your battles. You're going to keep fighting. And sometimes because you're continuing to fight, you'll lose more than you would have lost if you just stopped while you were ahead of yourself. But you know how that goes. You know how that goes. So Heart of Inspiration, good to see you. I'm going to reach out to you in the morning. Well, today, technically, because it's already midnight here for me, but in the morning hours. Thank you so much for stopping by. L. Allen, thanks for becoming a member. Amber Dawn Them Johnson says, I miss you so much, my slat slime gang leader. I know it felt really weird, guys. It is. Thank you so much for the warm welcome back. And Amber also says, I've been jonesing for the chat with the capital C, and the slime fam. I feel you. I felt it. Michelle gifted a membership. Michelle Warden, thank you so much. Christine Covey says, glad you're okay, Kat. Shout out to all the mods. Mod love all the time. Yeah, guys, totally okay. Nothing insane happened. Just didn't have power, and, you know, that's okay. It sucked, but it's okay. We're back. Thank you so much for checking in, Christine. Elnora became a new member. Thanks for supporting the channel. And then Michelle Warden gifting another one, out here sniping too. Ashley says, Kat, I think with the email, why respond as the elected DA? Right, because Fani specified. I'm sure she speaks with love about the case. It's unethical, the intentions behind the letter. Why reply? And that's Doug's point. Guys, I don't have an answer. I don't know why reply to this one in particular. I mean, maybe she replies to others, but doesn't reply all normally. But if this is like a one-off, where it's like the only time she replied, it just seems weird. It just seems weird. She's specifying her position, you know, making it like a speech, just like Doug said, a campaign speech. I don't have an answer. I don't. It doesn't seem like the way I'm interpreting it is the intended result. However, I'm not a constituent. I don't have any skin in the race. I'm not voting in Fulton County. I live in Florida now. So maybe there are others like outside of this chat that would read something like that if they came across it. I'm not sure where they'd come across it and go, heck yeah, we're just like this Uber driver. We agree. So I don't know. I don't think that's really the case, at least not by and large. But I agree with you. I think Doug's point that was a campaign speech. It read like a campaign speech. I agree. Well, thank you for the 10, Ashley. And then Reese Page's alter ego Whitaker says, I wrote that haphazard email to Miss Love, y'all. Shout out to the Reese Page alter ego Whitaker in the chat. And then Renee Stevenson following with the 2 saying, I knew it was you, Reese. Oh my goodness. Republic Tea Room, thank you so much for being a member for 2 months. Another person always love to see in other chats. Josie Romero says the ex parte email feels like it was Fani giving a backhanded response to Whitaker, since the email was practically a copy and paste of Whitaker going off on Love. I mean, something like that could explain why maybe we chose to reply all. But man, what a stupid move to go off on a judge. I don't know. Because don't forget, like, there are some motions that Fani has helped sign. Like, it's not like Fani has absolutely nothing to do with this case. So, but it's one of those questions, like, would I put it past them to not care if they pissed off the judge? Would I put it past them to not see how they could possibly get under the judge's skin in a way that wouldn't be so great for them mid-trial? I wouldn't put that past them. I don't think that they're very strategic. I don't think that they can always see the outcome outside of how they think things should go. And just because, like, I think something, I would react to something a certain way, I like to be aware that other people could react differently. And I don't know if that's something that Fani and or Love really exercise in terms of the way they think about how things could play out. I don't really think that that's good. You could see that, like, Atkins and Hilton, to me, their body language when they're, like, shooting the eyes or, like, kind of like going like this or hitting the mute on the microphone, I think they think ahead about how things could go in a different way than one might want or expect. I just don't think Love and perhaps Fani think like that. And not good. Not good to have a district attorney and chief deputy DA not have foresight outside of their own egos. So thank you for the food for thought there, Josie. You gave me a little rant time there. Big shout out to Peter Ortiz for the super sticker. Peter Ortiz is out here dropping tons of support for the channel. I feel like this might have pushed Nick over the edge, so maybe I'll tell him he has a rain check. We'll have to give him a rain check. Michelle gifting another membership. Thank you so much. Yedat says Mounk lawyer failed him from, quote, missing an added item to Mounk keeps saying he was told he could explain what his truth was. And he kept asking while he's on the stand, like, can I explain? Or if you'd let me explain. Ineffective counsel, deny it page. I do think he does have some room for an ineffective assistance of counsel. I mean, I know that Mounk technically signed and said that he's acknowledging everything, but if you're relying on your counsel to explain, and your counsel has said they didn't read the final copy of the plea, I think there's discretion there for a judge to kind of decide, even in a way that doesn't really condemn the attorney too much, that maybe Mounk wasn't really signing with the understanding of what he was signing. So I'm interested. I'm really interested to see this Friday afternoon hearing play out. Thank you so much for the 5, Yada. Stephen T. Satchel with a recommendation that you could elect to get a power pack like van life people use, no gasoline or emissions. And I think that's, you know, was Nick's angle with the product he recommended. So that might be it, because if it's quiet, what's the HOA gonna say? So thank you so much, you guys, for your support. Ike says, coffee and Bailey's and cat and chat, the X-Men, the mods, night shift. Pleasant Saturday evening, going into Sunday morning. But sounds like a nice little coffee treat there, Ike. Good to see you here any time of day. Peter Ortiz says, Starlink Mini is $4.99. I have one. It's worth it. I've thought about that because I thought it'd be cool to have while on the go. So definitely a cool technology, and you guys know I live right near Space Coast, so I know they're like blasting the constellation satellites off. So I'm like, their coverage is probably expanding and getting better and better, so might be worth it. Might be worth it. Thank you for the recommendation, because I don't really... The only person I knew that told me they were using one, they traveled in an RV and would join Zoom calls. And this was several years ago already, and it was like kind of crappy, their bandwidth. So if it's better now. That's really good feedback for me to know. So thank you, Peter. Steven Satchel says, the letter that was added to the record didn't have headers, so no source IP address. Right, it just looked like... And I don't know. So when people were sharing that online, did someone just screenshot over the correspondence? Or is that exactly how it was added to the record? Because that is kind of weird that it was like added as a screenshot. Because they could have had the full thing and then redacted, made the like black or the white bars to block out the information if they wanted to redact stuff. They could have actually added the chain. So I'm curious if we're just not seeing how it was added to the record and we're only getting screenshots forwarded by somebody. So we'll have to see. I don't actually have an answer or clarification on this one. And then Living My Truth says, Seti Nash broke it down on his channel why she said Memphis out of all the states. Hold on, good to know. And I didn't see that, but I have seen... And it was over on X. Because oddly enough, and I don't really know why, I think I watch a lot of lives on YouTube, and I don't think Seti does that many lives. He does more of the edited videos. So a lot of what I see from Seti is over on X, but this weekend he was talking about, you know, the RICO statute and this reference to Tennessee by the Uber driver. So this is a link to Seti's channel. And okay, this was the video that he did talking about this email. So this link I'm dropping now is the email if you want to watch that. But I'm also going to share Seti's Twitter or X, whatever. And again, I think this is a great time if you guys ever want to share your X handle and connect with each other, you can do that in the chat. Just know that you guys can't paste links. YouTube will hide links from anyone that's not a mod or myself posting it. You'll have to type what your like @name is on X, but you guys can always use the chat as a way to connect and find other like YSL mutuals to follow. But this is Seti on X. Highly recommend a follow. Great and quick knowledge on stuff that's happening in this case. So thank you for the ping there, Living in My Truth. And Michelle Warden out here sniping in another one. Thank you so much. And then Steven snuck in another one too. Thank you, Steven. And then finally we have 10 more gifted by Peter Ortiz. So you guys have been super awesome with the generous gifting today. And I didn't do a banner today. I should have done a banner, but it would have been a lot of members, I feel like, today. So we are growing the gang. Let's see. Yeah, and it's weird. Shout out to Seti, and it's weird because I've caught him, I think it was live, or maybe he was just replaying a clip on X, but I swear I've seen live video from him on X. Again, maybe it was just a repost of something that he did somewhere else. But I never really see, a lot of time when I go to YouTube, I search for like, you know, you could see like the red circle around people, and that ends up curating my feed because YouTube thinks I watch those people only because I keep clicking to watch them live. So I see Seti all the time on X, but never on YouTube because I'm not seeing that red circle. So I gotta like play his videos on demand to like fix my YouTube algorithm. But definitely one worth following. And then let's see. Oh, okay. So great observation here. And thank you for the super chat. You don't have to super chat. I can see the chats a little more when it's a slower chat. Whit printed the letter in court. So it would have the to from subject, but not all the headers like received, dash from, and the CCs. That's true. So you saw her go to the printer and like pull the thing up. So that's good context there. And then let's do, we might condense this down to the Thugger Daily version because he highlights right to the key parts. Because I'm not going to lie, I haven't slept well since the night that the hurricane was coming. Like, it was already loud, and then when I had no AC, and it's not because anything crazy was happening, I'm just a light sleeper. But if we do the Thugger Daily version, we'll get the concise wrap-up of the important parts. the punchy parts, if you will, about this memorandum of law. The full link is in the description and also just dropped in the chat. And we'll do the short roundup here. Because, sorry, my time management gets a little haywire when we have guests on, because it's a lot easier to chat. And I like to take that opportunity when people are on the show to hear their thoughts as well. So, threw me off a little bit. We didn't get through my laundry list of things in full. But we'll get through the important parts. So here, this is the memorandum of law regarding overt act requirement. This is in a little bit in response to the state's brief that they filed a few weeks ago. Comes now the defendant Rodalius Ryan Jr., hereinafter Ryan, in the above styled matter, and submits to this court, as requested, the case law on the constitutional protection and substantial safeguards in place before the state strips a man of his liberty, that a defendant cannot be convicted solely on the basis of overt acts not included in the indictment. Ryan shows as follows. Count 1 of the indictment against Ryan alleges he conspired to participate in a criminal street enterprise known as Young Slime Life, YSL, which engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity outlined in 191 overt acts. The state claims that they need not prove any of these overt acts, and a conviction may rest solely upon an overt act not included in the indictment. The state urges this court to ignore not only the RICO statute itself, but also, quote, centuries of an antecedent development of common law going back to the Assize of Clarendon in 1166. And I'm probably butchering this. It's probably like Assize or something. And this is citing Russell. Now, Russell, from what I hear, rumblings from attorneys, Russell is something that defense attorneys like to cite. It seems to, they say lean in favor of their arguments, but they also say they think it leans in the favor of how law should be interpreted correctly. So they're citing some commentary here, explaining that actually, wait, this is a case. Scratch what I just said. There is a commentary book. There's like 2 commentary books that, like, one prosecutors really like to cite and the other defense attorneys really like to cite. And I believe the one is works by Russell. But this is a case, so scratch everything I just said. See, I need some sleep. Explaining that the history and purpose of a grand jury indictment is to provide a fair method for instituting criminal proceedings against persons believed to have committed crimes. The Constitution itself, federal and state jurisprudence, as well as the RICO statute, require that the indictment contain the necessary elements. And then this is where Thugger Daily jumps right to the conclusion here. And this is really the spicy part of it. The state's contention that overt acts solely outside of the indictment not only ignores the law, but also offends a fundamental notion of fairness. The state has no reason to argue that overt acts outside of the indictment alone will sustain a conviction unless they need to rely on this premise. The state would only need to make this change if, as trial progresses, it becomes evident that the state cannot prove its case. So what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that whopper of a paragraph? It's not a whopper in size. It's pretty short, but it packs a punch. It packs a punch. The state has a duty to pursue justice, not a conviction. As the state watches their case fail, they refuse to accept the possibility of defeat fair and square, but rather seek to make up a new case as they go along. Now, this is beautiful because Whitaker is like giving the state the benefit of the doubt. She said in court on the record that it just seems like they're building this case as they go along. And that was the nice alternative to saying, hey, you know what? I think you're doing this maliciously. The nice alternative isn't great either. So Leah Abbasi is incorporating that here. No defendant can prepare to defend against allegations which are being invented as the trial goes along. Such a demand would render, quote, due process meaningless. However, that seems to be the door, and we have a typo here. This seems to be door the state wants to keep open throughout this trial. If these overt acts aren't working, just add some new ones. That is neither legal nor just. Respectfully submitted on the 9th day of October, Leah Abbasi. So, I loved it here. Typo and all. We probably could have caught that. We need some Grammarly on both sides. Just get everybody a Grammarly subscription. Although Grammarly gets it wrong sometimes too. But yeah. And I'm going to link to the full thing, guys. I'm just pooped. I am tired. I am tired. So this is the full. And maybe we'll read it in full on, you know, like a lunch break or sometime this week. Oh, man. And you guys keep sneaking stuff in. Chloe, good to see you. Good to see you right back. I said good to see you and then saw your comment says good to see you. I wasted great commentary elsewhere. Oh, man. I know what that feels like. I know. You guys always, when I start late, when I start streams late and you guys come over here, you're like, thank goodness I hated the law and crime chat. Good to see you, Chloe. That girl Mia says, I'm late, but oh my god, Kat, I'm so happy to see you and know that you're okay. Good to see you. This trial is almost unbearable without you, the mods, and my KNW chat gang. Love to hear it. Always love to see the love for the whole chat. Thank you so much, Mia. And then Chloe Albert's Revenge, what a punchline to close this out on, says, Sov sit ADAs. They're just making up their own jurisdiction and deciding what jurisprudence is. Oh my gosh. Whew. So yeah, we got through a decent checklist. I mean, that was everything in my checklist, minus, you know, we got a little summary there of Leah Abbasi's memo rather than reading the full 6 pages. That's how tired I am. I didn't want to read the other 4. We just did 2. But this is my Google Doc scratch pad of the links that we talked about today. So you can read any of those documents in full. It has also like the links to things like Gunna's disposition sheet. So some fun stuff in there for you guys. I'm like really losing my voice right here. Hold on. It's like as soon as I said I'm pooped, my voice was like, oh, we can give up now. We can give out. It'll be fine. But yeah. Other than that, you guys, it has been awesome to see everybody. I do plan, if I can fit in some time, because I have to catch up with some work I couldn't do without internet. I would love to do a rewatch. We'll cut out the breaks tomorrow of day 142, so Friday. So look for that tomorrow. It seems like we might actually have court Monday, so I want to be caught up before that. So I'm really going to try tomorrow to do the day 142 stuff, because I really want to watch some of the stuff that went down. It looked really interesting. But we are going to end with this. Thank you so much, you guys. It has been awesome to see you, and it's always so heartwarming. Like, I was like, oh my god, my battery's going to die. Pulling up X and getting notifications from people that were kind enough to check in on me. Like, such a nice feeling. And thank you always for showing love to the mods as well. Thank you to Tameka. She says, thanks for this. You did great. Get some rest. I'm gonna crank the fans on. I can't sleep without a fan, guys. I'm telling you, if I could have like a power outage but just still have a fan for like white noise, it'd be fine. It would be fine. And no, I didn't have any power. I couldn't play Link. I couldn't play. And yeah, have a good time with that Google Drive. It's not meant to be pretty, but the document, it has all the little links from this stream. And look at all the love. Look at all the hearts in the chat. Love you guys. And L. Allen says, get some rest. You are appreciated. Thanks so much, L. Allen. You guys know what we're going to close out on, right? Do I need to say it? You ready for it? You guys all have a good night. See you tomorrow.
A as in Alicia, and B, Your Honor, as in Barry. C as in Colette. G as in Goldfetter. K as in Kittens. M as in Magic. P as in Perfect. C as in Colette. U as in Unbelievable. V as in Victory. W as in Wonderful.
O for objection. S for sustain. E for buffering. E for Pepto-Bismol. sly, my friend, than you. As in what you mean. I as in I don't recall. M as in may I sleep. All the ABCs of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. G for gavel slams down P, T for tell him anything, R for rights we stand, I for infinity. Life's a courtroom dance. Keep your stances strong with ABCs of steel. You can never go wrong. Oh, the ABCs of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. Of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. Oh, the ABCs of steel